All right, friends, we are going to officially begin the discussion concerning the March 27th Nintendo Direct as well as the April 2nd Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Now, I know it's been a while since we've done a proper roundtable discussion here. The last time that we had one was kind of in regards to Sora. The last time we kind of broke it down in terms of like warm feedback and cool feedback. Given the just abundance of information that's presented, I've just kind of arranged the questions based partially on the dates, but also partially based on what's going to be easier to answer versus what will be either harder / more frustrating to answer. Obviously, there is one or two big elephants in the room that affect a lot of these questions in one way or another.
Price?
Yes. That's obviously a big contributing factor. However, when we go through these questions and I ask you about particular games or how you feel about particular games, I'm going to ask, at least in most cases, that for just for the time being, to put aside the concerns of prices and judge the game and your honest opinions on the game on its own respective merit, at least for now, excluding the price. But don't worry, we will talk about the price. I'm not forgoing. I'm not forgoing entirely. I should
factor in when we're talking about Switch instruction manual being sold for $60.
Right.
Should have been free. It should have been free.
Yeah. Again. We'll get guys. We'll get there. I have a seriously though. We'll address it. We'll address it. I promise you, we'll address it. And again, the way that this works is, this is not necessarily meant to be a debate. It is really just an opportunity for each individual to kind of express their opinions into an empty void. So when one person is talking to answer the question, everyone needs to remain silent until that person is done. At which point we will give the next person an opportunity to answer the question, and we will keep going that way until everyone has had an opportunity to answer the question. You are not obligated to answer anything if you don't want to. If you simply want to pass and move it on to the next person, you can. If you just need more time to come with an answer, you can do that too. All right.
Josh,
so,
you want to join us?
So now that we've established all the rules, Josh, are you ready to begin?
What?
We're having a roundtable discussion. I literally just finished explaining all the rules of the discussion.
Right as you hopped in.
Like the moment you... Listen, it's fine. All right, so let's begin with the first question. So just think about this in your minds. Among the games mentioned in the March 27th Nintendo Direct, which game has you the most excited and why? Does anyone wish to go first? All right, Paige, go ahead.
I'm looking forward to the Rhino remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army, mainly because of how many doors it opens to other things getting ported over, like the other Devil Summoner games, or the Digital Devil Saga games, or any Shin Megami Tensei games we didn't get over here in the West or are way too old. And I also just find it hilarious that they called it the Rhino remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army, and not Shin Megami Tensei Devil Summoner, Raido Kuzunoha versus the Soulless Army. But also, it looks like it's more than a remaster. It looks different. Like they added more. I don't know how to explain it because I'm not a... But a lot of people who played the original game were like, this seems more like a remake. And I'm just really interested in seeing what doors this opens up.
All right. Thank you very much, Paige. Anyone else wish to answer this question?
Okay.
Go ahead, Manuel.
I guess mine's just going to be kind of short and probably a lot more underwhelming in comparison to Paige. And
that's fine.
Generic too, for that matter. But I guess for this specific Direct, I guess probably the one that quote-unquote caught my attention the most, I would say, is the Pokemon Legends ZA. I mean, I guess, for the Pokemon fans, I mean, we gotta have, not just our Pokemon game, but I guess you can say a good Pokemon game. And also, one that doesn't typically follow the formula. And on top of that, like, even then, it's actually doing something different than the preceding Legends game, Legends Arceus, which took us to the past. While this one looks like it's taking us to the future. And Now, I know we had an announcement with Legends EA like already a couple times before, but this one I guess had a deeper focus on like more the game mechanics. I don't really have anything else to add.
Okay, that's fine. Who else? Is anyone else want to answer this question? Ryan, go ahead.
I loved the original Legends. It was super great. It was just so much fun to be able to run around and play. I definitely think the new one has potential. It does also seem like they've scaled back a bit too much. For example, not being able to leave the city.
Oh, that's interesting.
The entire thing takes place in Lumiose City, in like different suburbs of Lumiose. And also, something that I had to have pointed out to me in a video, every single building in the game is a JPEG.
Oh, no.
There's no more depth. Literally, the balcony that's in front of a building, it's a flat JPEG.
Huh.
Because they didn't want... Because they were terrible at doing that stuff in Scarlet and Violet, and so they decided to simplify it even more. And I can't help but think of like the water physics from the original Legends, in which they were significantly worse than like N64 water graphics, because there's very simple techniques that you do to get water graphics, namely layering a couple on top of each other. And they only had one layer, so it was super obvious and just looked awful. And that's just like behind the scenes. Nintendo rotates out 90% of its staff every year. But yeah, I am very hyped for it still. It has a lot of potential, but I don't know if it's going to be better than the original Legends Arceus.
All right, thank you very much, Ryan. Luke, among the games mentioned, March 27th, which game has you the most excited and why?
Yeah, I got you. So, the game I'm excited for, Metroidvania Pac-Man, because it's Metroidvania Pac-Man. But, yeah.
That's fair.
The most unique one.
Okay, but really, probably just Metroid Prime 4, because it's been so long since we got that. I've still not played any of the other Prime games, but I'll have to get to that eventually. And then one thing to comment on Legends EA, I mentioned this in the Discord chat earlier, but why is it that you can only battle at night? That seems like a really weird and shady game mechanic.
I think it's most trainer battle at night. And that way, so you have the day to explore the overworld, as the free run with the original, and the night to have like traditional Pokemon battles.
I do like, however, also the that they're with these Legends games, they're not just doing the past. Like they're going into they're of course like having a French Revolution era Pokemon game would be hilarious and awesome, but yeah, going into the future with this one is pretty interesting, and also has really interesting implications on the lore. And so I'm really excited to see how that plays out. And then also how if we assume we ever get a Black and White 3 or a Legends Unova, how that would play out.
I don't play Pokemon, even I know you're not going to get a Black and White 3.
I personally don't want that.
It's coming out, they're probably going to get to Gen 5 something eventually.
Oh, sure they will.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm also hoping for a Gen 5 Legends. That would be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Luke. Josh, do you have anything to add?
No.
All right.
Can we go back to Shadow Labyrinth real quick? That's the Pac-Man Metroidvania.
I'm gonna give you an avenue to talk about Shadow Labyrinth in just a second.
Yay.
For my opportunity to answer the question, what was mentioned, I'm also excited about Rido. I'm very excited about. I mean, he's a detective. He's a samurai. He's a ninja, and he summons demons.
I find it hilarious that he replaced Dante as the that character in Shin Megami Tensei 3.
Well, it's interesting because it was actually like a Eastern versus Western thing. So our original SMT Nocturne had Dante. The Japanese version had Rhino. And it's only
That's
when
just
we
so-
got the remaster on the Switch and other devices did they
still
give
so
you the
weird.
option to pick between one or the other.
That's just so weird because this Devil Summoner Rhino was the first Devil Summoner game to come over to the West. And I find it funny that they're like, okay, no, we're going to go get Capcom to bring in Dante.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my input on that. I'm very excited about
Sorry, I took your game.
about Devil Summoner. So next question. This might seem somewhat redundant, but I'm just trying to cover as much as we can. Again, you don't have to answer everything. Among the games mentioned in the March 27th Nintendo Direct, which third-party game caught your attention the most and why?
Metroidvania, Pac-Man.
Right. So for some of you, you've already presented an answer. So
That's fine.
yeah. So if Luke, if you're resolute with your answer, then that is fine.
New Necrodancer game that's basically Guitar Hero.
Oh, the Rift of the Necrodancer?
I'll
Yep.
be honest, I thought that one was already out.
Crypt
No,
of the
no, no.
Necrodancer is. Rift
Yeah,
is.
Crypt of the Necrodancer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought Rift was already out. I've seen so much about it.
Actually, I do have one other, if that's okay.
That's okay.
The Dragon Quest HD 2D remakes for the first two games. That I'm really excited for because I've actually not played Dragon Quest at all. So this is the perfect avenue for me to get into the series finally.
Well, actually, the perfect avenue would be Dragon Quest 3 because it chronologically takes place before 1 and 2. That's why they released it before 1 and 2.
It's the first two numbered ones, but it's a good point regardless. It's good that they're there.
I'll
And
go
they
into GameStop later to go get 3 then.
I mean, the thing is, Dragon Quest is known as the intro series to JRPGs. So if
In
you
Japan, if you can get your hands on it over here.
if you know how to play JRPGs, you've basically already been introduced to the series because it is the starting level, the easiest
enough.
point to jump on.
Aside from Pokemon.
And
Yeah.
also, if y'all didn't
Definitely.
know,
All
I
right.
was gonna say, and Dragon Quest was the inspiration to like Earthbound Beginnings. I mean, kind of jumping in there, but Sorry,
It's fine. Like I said, again, we have a lot of questions, so I just don't want to go on too long of a tangent on anything. So-
And a separate discussion about the virtual card system.
Yeah, again, we will have. We're gonna address the virtual card thing, and I promise you. So, Paige, what third party game are you particularly excited about?
Of the ones that haven't been listed yet,
Mm-hmm.
the two I have my eyes on the most are Witchbrook, which you incorrectly called a farming sim. I don't think there's any farming sim, it's a life sim. Get your genres correct. People have been looking forward to it for a long time, where you just roleplay as a witch, and it sounds really cool. It looks really sweet. And then the other one is the Third Eye game. I love seeing that series succeed. Or I think it's the Third Eye game. I don't think it's a spin-off, despite the weird naming convention.
All right, thank you very much, Paige. Israel.
and nothing really particular in this moment. I know I'm boring. I mean, we're unfortunately kind of running dry on like Nintendo Switch 1 games.
That's fine. Like I said, you don't have to answer the question if you don't have anything. Josh?
Oh, I know nothing about what's coming out March or not coming out March other than Assassin's Creed.
That is fair. As far as my answer is concerned, aside from again SMT Devil Summoner, the game that I am most excited about, and this is very weird, Tamagotchi Plaza.
Yeah.
I played the out of the DS Tamagotchi game when I was a kid. I loved that game. I maxed out everything. And just hearing the like Tamagotchi leitmotif was enough to bring me back in, and it's like, okay, I can spend a little time and money on this. So I don't mind doing this again. So I'm very, very excited to have like a proper Tamagotchi-esque game on the Switch, especially since there are over 100 of these suckers now. So we are truly back with this game.
Over 100 Tamagotchi games, and I'm
No. Over 100 different
How?
Tamagotchi characters.
Because if there's games I was going to be like, I've never heard of.
Yeah, it's like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's like Final Fantasy, eat your heart out. We're going to move on to the next question. What are... Oh, do you have something?
Actually, just to remind me, was Chrono Trigger like something announced for it in this direct? Because no? Okay, never mind.
You might be thinking of Saga.
Yes, Saga has a...
which I will be talking about. Let me know when you decide to move on to Switch 2 stuff. So
yeah, well, I'll make that very clear. So I'm gonna address a couple of the like big titles. We've already talked about it a little bit already, but I just want to be sure that we address these properly. Again, if you have any thoughts, if you don't have thoughts, you have to answer this. What are your thoughts, if any, on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond? Some of you have already given your thoughts. If you wish to elaborate further on anything, you can. If you haven't given your thoughts and want to, now is the time.
I shall elaborate further.
All right, Luke, you have the floor.
So first of all, as I mentioned in the game check, I told you that they were gonna do a Switch 2 thing, where it's like, they Breath of the Wild did, basically. I mean, it's not exactly that, because it's gonna come out a little late after the Switch 2 comes out, but yeah, more or less that. And also, I need to play Zero Mission and just get into Metroid in general.
Fair enough.
Yeah, SMIP.
Fair enough. Anyone else?
It looks decently solid. They didn't show a ton for it, but it definitely seems like it has potential.
Josh, were you saying something? I thought I saw your character light up.
He's muted.
Oh.
I was gonna say something, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I just feel we could do with more Samus, you know? Like, I like Samus, and, you know, Nintendo does a lot of Mario and Luigi, but we don't do enough Samus, so yeah, let's make more games about Samus.
Samus? Samus.
He's saying it that way on purpose.
Ah, fantastic.
All right, Israel, do you have any thoughts to add?
I mean, I guess kind of getting on like Josh's points, like, yeah, Metroid does deserve more representation. I mean, like, I'm not saying that, I mean, I personally will pick this up anytime soon, but I mean, I would say, and y'all probably would agree with me, I'm allowed to be happy for other fans who are eating big, in this case with the Metroid series, right? The franchise.
Most people, that was like one of the biggest announced, well, like, one of the things they're most looking forward to. We're like, it's fine, looks good.
All right, Paige, you have anything to add?
To Metroid, no.
Okay, that's fine. As far as my thoughts on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, I am excited about it. I am going to kind of agree with Ryan's point. I do feel like, aside from the showcasing of Samus's psychic powers, which does add a whole new kind of layer to things, I feel like, in a way, we did get more information from the teaser trailer that showed like one of our primary antagonists, probably not the big bad of the game, but one of the primary antagonists of the game. And I just feel like we may have gotten a little bit more insight in the teaser trailer than we did here. It was a good showcase of, hey, here's all this cool shit you can do, but not too much as far as anything else. And, you know, some people may argue, like, that's fine. I'd rather just figure out the plot myself. I don't want to be spoiled before the game comes out. And if that's your viewpoint, then that's fine. But show me an arrow, at least. So that's my thoughts. Unless anyone has anything to add about Samus's psychic powers.
I do got a few more, actually. Yeah, I will say, they've remastered the first game also. They gotta do it for the second and third, especially like if they're now doing 4 fairly soon, I would imagine. Like, you gotta remaster the other 2, because otherwise people are just gonna keep emulating Trilogy on Dolphin.
That's fair.
I mean,
I guess also to add to that, I mean, oh, sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
Didn't they release, what was it, Virtual Console for it, where you could buy it on Wii U, I think?
No, the Prime games are on the GameCube. The first 2 are on the GameCube, and the third one was on the Wii. And yeah, it's maybe it was like for like the Wii and Wii U Virtual Consoles, but as for the Switch, no, you cannot play it.
Yeah, I know. I was just remembering the Wii U, where like at launch it was one of the only things you could play. And
Wait, that's a whole other topic, but we'll get to that later.
Israel, do you have something to add?
Oh yeah, so I guess this was already kind of brought up just now, but I mean, it's good that, I mean, especially for a franchise that hasn't been, or I guess in this case, a series that hasn't been getting much attention until recently. Yeah, I kind of do agree with Luke that, I mean, well, thankfully, Metroid Prime 1 was localized, or I mean, not localized, remade, or brought back to the Switch. Yeah, I feel like they should have done that with 2 and 3, like Luke said. I mean, they did it with the Pikmin games. I mean, why not the Prime games? Well, I guess I understand that. I mean, the Metroid Prime games probably would be a lot more complex than a Pikmin game. I mean, no offense to Arlo, I mean, if he somehow watches this, or any other Pikmin fans, but I feel like that's a missed opportunity right there from Nintendo's end.
Yeah, it was nice having this Metroid 2 remake come out on the 3DS right before Dread, so that way people could play 2 and then see if they liked the gameplay enough to buy the new one.
That was a good one. I will say, and I can't assure anything, I say it's at least reasonable to entertain the idea that at the very least they may release Prime 2 with the GameCube features of the Switch 2, but I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. We'll talk about the GameCube features later on. So we're gonna go ahead and move on now. Similar question, and again, don't have to answer it if you do not wish to contribute nothing or just be redundant. What are your thoughts, if any, on Pokemon Legends ZA, based on information presented in the March 27th Nintendo Direct and or the February 27th Pokemon Presents? This is the only instance I will be asking you to reference the Pokemon Presents if you want to use that as any base point of information.
I mean, yeah, the gameplay definitely looks solid. I like that you actually, for the first time, can move around to dodge an attack. Like, people have been asking for that for 20 years now.
It's been over 3,000 years.
It has.
I know, I had to put in that meeting.
Which Crazy's a great character, by the way, so glad to see him.
No, yeah, like, good segue, because yeah, he's basically a hotel owner now, a tall hotel owner now. Versus in the X and Y games where he was literally imprisoned and also, you know, did not help with the war.
I definitely would have preferred another open world, just because we don't have a ton of open world Pokemon games. Like, Legends was basically the first. And I'm a bit sad that they're kind of restricting it this much for the sequel of that.
Well, technically Lumio City would be an open world, right?
Well, so
walking through buildings and stuff, but
here's my kind of viewpoint when it comes to the whole like issue of like, oh, it's in city. On the one hand, I don't like that it is restricted to one city. I think it would be nice to be able to see other territories, even if it's just like, you know, it's like, hey, get on this helicopter and head over to this specific territory. It'd be nice to see those areas remade. I will say one relatively common complaint that came up with respect to Pokemon XY is in the original representation of Lumio City, people did not truly feel like they were in this incredibly grand city because of the way, and obviously, you know, 3DS had limitations and it was their first attempt at doing something like this. But I think it was incredibly scaled down to where everything felt like it was all within walking distance of each other. And I really feel like this is the avenue where we are going to truly understand and appreciate the scale of Lumio City, because there's going to be the whole world.
Also, it's the future. Lumio City is probably gentrified a whole ton.
I do agree on that point. And also the thing is, quite literally, the game before, we had New York City. in which it was very accurate about its scale and just how big it was. And going from that to Lumio City was a huge step down.
Right. So I feel like this is their effort to kind of rectify that. It's like, you want to scale Lumio City? Okay, you're going to get exactly that.
Well, to be fair, if you compare New York to Paris, like, they are very different if you've actually been to both of them.
I have.
I have.
I've not been to either.
Well, I don't know if they're that different. I guess the alleyways are at weird angles in Paris compared to New York.
Also, Paris is way more spread out, and also the buildings are not that tall, aside from the Eiffel Tower, of course.
And the middle finger of Paris. But that's a whole other issue.
Paris City just felt really small. They were good at when they were good at showing like the scale, even if they were limited, the game before on the DS, whereas they failed so hard on the 3DS.
Right, but let's stay focused on Legends EA. This is not. We have enough to complain about tonight. We'll get there. I promise you.
We know.
Okay. So, all right. Any other thoughts on Legends EA before we move on?
9999999.
Yeah, it has potential, and I'm just hoping I can have the same fun that I had on starting Legends, where I just spent the first 3 hours running around the starting area, ignoring the main quest, and like power level 20 levels above the main quest. And it was just so much fun exploring every nook and cranny.
Hopefully we do get that. Go ahead.
Finally, Zygarde gets some representation. Let's go.
Well, it's not clear. I do recognize he's in the game. It's not clear how much representation he has. So
I mean,
it really depends on how involved he actually is.
Well, besides the ranking system, that is probably going to be the name that they're what the name is after, like kind of like Arceus was with the other Legends games. So,
oh sure.
But like Pokemon Z finally coming technically.
It's got a Z in it.
It was hilarious how they moved the Zygarde movie into Sun and Moon because they didn't want to make another Kalos game.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. We have one more question concerning the March 27th Nintendo Direct. Like I said, I'll give you your avenues later. We're going to move on to a specific function that they talked about during this Direct. What are your thoughts concerning the virtual game card system that Nintendo intends to implement? Do you believe it's helpful?
I said this in the game chat, and I stand by this. This is something that they should have implemented way earlier.
Wait,
Game card, not game chat, game cards, the virtual game card system.
Yeah, the game card system. It's something they should have implemented way earlier. It's a really good idea, but I think this is something that's just more or less going to extend the Switch's life, which is something I'll talk about later. But yeah, it is a good function. I think it's a good way of transferring game data from one system to another between friends and whatnot. Makes things a lot easier. It's just a weird update to do this late in the Switch's life, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, especially since, I mean, we're getting Switch 2 like in a few months, which again we'll talk about in the later segment.
Right.
I do think that it's because Switch 2 is coming out that they were trying to figure out how they were going to move virtual games from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. And that's why this came in, because they're trying to figure out how to do that, and then came up with the idea of letting you do it for more than just your own system. I think that's why it's coming out now.
Paige, you have any thoughts?
I just hope you don't have to pay for it after I'm just concerned that's going to be like, pay a few bucks to move this one over to this one.
No,
I don't
No, it's free. It's a free system.
The only caveat is that you have to get a digital copy of the game to do that. You can't do it with the physical cards.
It doesn't make sense for physical. I mean, because you can already do that with the physical copy anyway.
Yeah, it's literally something that tries and replicates, like being able to have a physical collection. It tries to replicate that with your eShop purchases. That's it.
I know what it is. I just am concerned it's going to try and nickel and dime you.
No, I don't think they'll do that. Now, I will say, and this is how I kind of viewed it. One practical purpose to this that I feel like, and not that Nintendo hasn't been proactive about this from the outset when it comes to the Nintendo Switch game cards, I feel like this is going to be a safer option moving forward when it comes to children operating this system, because by having the game cards be virtual and being able to move them from one system to the other, if parents regularly use that and regularly take advantage of that, then they don't have to worry about the cards getting lost. They don't have to worry about the cards getting damaged or destroyed or chewed up.
I was literally seeing a meme about that on Reddit. Like, the first thing that people are gonna do when the Switch 2 comes out, eat the name cards.
Right.
Well,
we'll have to test. We have to check the flavor of the bitter spray. But
There's a lot of digital games that didn't
like
get
strawberries.
this unless like go
They're
through
like,
play.
It tastes like redacted.
so yeah, I think that it's going to, I think it's going to be helpful in that specific regard. But also, like, parents will have more control if there's like a dispute. It's like who gets it. Because then, if it's set up correctly, the parent has control over who gets what. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it removes the whole option of fighting over it and the potential consequence of the fighting resulting in it getting damaged or destroyed. So I think it is pragmatic in that specific regard.
Practical again.
Pragmatic is the same thing.
Pragmatic will come later.
Okay, so that is all the question I have concerning the March 27th Direct. It does not compare in length to the April 2nd one. As I mentioned at the outset, you will have an opportunity to ask your own questions later. But for now, we're going to shift gears and we are going to move on to the April 2nd Nintendo Direct. And like I said, same deal as before, unless I say otherwise. Please judge any questions I have concerning games on its own merit and not factor in the price unless I ask you to. Okay? So, to start off, aside from the price, what did you think of Mario Kart World? What specific aspects of the game do you find most appealing? Go ahead, Luke.
So, I'm gonna say this right now. People have been wanting Mario Kart to really innovate ever since like Double Dash, and we're finally doing it. Like, I was actually, from a pure gameplay perspective, I was really impressed with what I saw, especially like with the treehouse and all that. Like, the only thing I see right now is that the courses look a little flat, and I'm hoping there's an option where you don't have to drive from course to course on the circuits. That's basically it, though. Like, in terms of like innovating the series, giving the thing a fresh coat of paint, which it hasn't really had ever since Double Dash. Well, like DS more specifically, but yeah, I was really happy, and all I can say is like I really hope this game does well, and simultaneously they also keep supporting 8 Deluxe so that you can have that traditional Mario Kart experience alongside this brand new one.
All right, thank you, Luke. Who would like to go next?
I would like to go last
Okay.
because I have to say.
Okay. Paige, go ahead.
I'm curious. Like, there's also going to be an outside the race, an open world mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and I'm wondering how that's going to look. Like, are there going to be stuff that's like outside the courses that's just for finding the open, that you can just find the open world part? Because otherwise, it'll just be like driving through the course without the race part. So I'm wondering if they're like little Easter eggs that you can't see during the actual course races.
They'll probably reveal all that on the April 17th Direct with the Mario Kart World.
Yeah. Ryan, why don't you go ahead? And I'll share my thoughts.
I think it has a decent amount of potential. They used it to show off the chat feature in that, and you got to see a bit more about how like it plays in between from there. And I think it just looks solid. It's very reminiscent of like Breath of the Wild for me, where there's like a big open field, and it can just be fun to run around and see everything. And I think just that kind of openness is nice, and you don't need to have something at every single point, even though Breath of the Wild is filled with it. There's also a lot of downtime, and the downtime is really helpful.
All right. Israel wanted to go last, so I'll give my thoughts on it. The main thing I'm excited to see the Airship Fortress is back. That was like the one course that I was super frustrated that they did not include in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with all of the DLC. And when I saw it in the trailer, I was legitimately excited. So I'm happy to see that it's finally getting some representation. It's weird that no one's brought up the fact that you can play as a cow and a dolphin now.
Yes.
It's like
Literally every obscure Mario character, or even Mario Kart specific in the case of the cow.
It's like someone Nintendo woke up one morning and decided, you know who we need to have in Mario Kart? The cow from that one course with the minor moles.
Because the Wiggler wasn't obscure enough in Mario Kart 7.
Like it.
Oh yeah, or even the Queen Bee for that matter.
It's fascinating that they made the decision, but I'm all for it.
Yep.
All right, Israel, go ahead.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm pretty sure y'all know what are my thoughts and opinions on Mario Kart 8, especially Griffin, considering the Fall Guys video that you made on me talking shit about it.
To be fair, you also made a video of you doing exactly that.
Okay, fair. Okay, but trying to get back on topic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just Mario Kart 8 is like, I feel like it's been milked to death since 2014, and we're barely moving on 11 years after the fact that the game was originally released. It's taken that long. I mean, and of course, like, unpopular opinion, I mean, if you're recording this, I was not the biggest fan of Mario Kart 8. I mean, not just because of how dry it was milked, but also like actually playing it, I mean, of course, the Wii U version didn't have much going on for it, like at least in the battle mode. Well, if you can't even call it that. And then the Switch version, the deluxe version, is like, yeah, technically it was better, but I actually tried playing that and finishing and unlocking everything myself, and of course this was pre-DLC. Is like, I was more frustrated than anything, and in a bad way, like in comparison to when I was doing the same shit in Mario Kart Wii, where at least I felt rewarded, as frustrating as it was on Wii. Mario Kart 8, I felt zero reward, not even unlocking Golden Mario. And then now jump forward to the release of the DLC. It's like, yeah, I know, Griffin, I mean, you're gonna give me shit for it just because, like, oh, you haven't played half the courses. But fair, but still, it's like, I mean, not just because you waited this long to release DLC for it. Like, what is it, 5 years, I think, after release of the deluxe, right? Well, anyway, but as far as the courses that were made for it, yeah, they had a rocky start, and I will admit, like, yeah, the later ones did look better. I mean, especially the Yoshi one, which just put a sour taste into my mouth, like I don't know if it's weird to say that. And then also the mechanics, of course, of just when playing the game, just and no, I'm not gonna say too balanced, because I'm gonna get for that again, and I honestly should have rephrased it. Like, I don't know, I guess there was just not enough action. It was just generic in comparison to, like, say, Mario Kart Wii. And again, I'm not gonna say it was too unbalanced this time, or I don't know. I guess, like, they made a bigger deal with, like, the tricks. Like, it felt a lot cooler to do, like, the tricks in the Wii version, or even the broken drifting in the DS, or even, like, the double dash mechanic. Like, I think double dash did it better than Mario Kart 8. Well, I mean, not that you can switch partners.
A lot of people feel that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Israel, may I ask you a question?
Now going to Mario Kart World. So, thankfully, for one, yay, we're no longer doing Mario Kart 8. We're actually doing it in Mario Kart World. And I'll give my thoughts on Donkey Kong's look, I mean, when we get to the Donkey Kong question. But, I mean, it's interesting that they're going with completely new looks for a lot of them. And also the customization of each character is, like, you can physically... So it's not just cards that you can just customize, but it's also, the individual characters. So, I mean, that's interesting. Also, as was brought up, yeah, being able to drive from one track to the other, that's also interesting. And also from what I saw, like you know how traditional Mario Kart games from DS all the way to 8, like all your retro tracks, I mean, like was it Shell, Leaf, Lightning, and Banana Cup? Those are nothing but retro tracks, while the Nitro tracks like Mushroom, Flower Star, and Special, like those were all new tracks. Here, it looks like they're completely mixing it up, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but rather it's an intriguing, curious way. So it's like, so it makes me think, are we actually gonna get most or all like previous Mario Kart tracks from Mario Kart history, from Super Mario Kart all the way to, well, Mario Kart Tour? Because yes, I believe there were Mario Kart Tour tracks in there. I mean, there definitely were Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC tracks on there as well.
I don't think they released the full track list yet.
Oh no, yeah, I know they haven't.
Well,
but it makes me wonder if that's what they intend on doing.
We'll
Like,
cross that
like
bridge when we get there.
Yeah, but anyway, what I do find most appealing, like hopefully we get to actually look at some new tracks that, you know, are actually exciting, because unlike Mario Kart 8, I didn't even feel that much excitement for most of the Nitro tracks. Hopefully I get to experience in Mario Kart World what I did not get to experience well in Mario Kart 8.
All right.
So yeah, this is why I wanted to go last.
That's fair.
Oh yeah, I also forgot, they never had something like the DS Trials ever again, huh? Like where they had actual boss fights.
That would be nice.
Like those were so much fun.
Those were.
I'm sad that like no other game has them in the entire series.
Oof.
Actually, Mario Kart Wii technically did have them, unfortunately only like on limited time online events.
That's Nintendo.
Okay, one more thing. I kind of wish Nihil was here, because that grinding and wall riding mechanic, like, he's gonna have so many Ross Chastain memes for us when we start playing that.
God bless.
So basically, you get to go all Tony Hawk Pro Skater like on this game, which funny enough was also announced on the Switch 2 Direct, I believe, right?
We'll get to that.
And a freaking SpongeBob level.
We'll get to
We're
that.
gonna have blood and SpongeBob for the second time ever.
Oh.
First time was in Dying for Pie, by the way.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on because I have a lot of questions for this direct.
I'm sorry about this one.
It's all right. That's why I did not set a specific time limit. I anticipated this taking a while. All right, next question. Aside from the price of the upgrade pack, what are your thoughts on the Jamboree TV additions to Mario Party Jamboree?
I think it looks sick as. I love it.
Awesome. Anyone else care to input?
Just more Mario Party Jamboree is good.
Yeah.
And it'll satiate us until they eventually do another Mario Party for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't have a comment. I don't know Mario Party well enough.
That is fair.
Mario, it looks like the Kinect all over again. It's great.
And, oh yeah, anyone remember the Xbox Kinect from the Xbox 360 days in 2010?
That's what got me into gaming.
I didn't use that because I'm not doing the Xbox rant again. You know my thoughts on the Xbox. Never had it, never will have it.
Well, it was awesome, and I'm glad you can finally experience the joy of Kinect.
Honestly, like the Wii marketed that the motion controls or motion sensors better. But anyway, I guess regarding this question, well, I guess it's not so much specific to Jamboree as much as it is the whole concept, which I don't even know if there's a question specific to this, but I mean, I guess just to get the Jamboree part out of the way, interesting concept. I mean, but I do wonder though, like, just for the whole thing, well, like on the additions, like for every game is like I'm very mixed with the practice. At the end of the day, it's basically just exclusive DLC.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we get to the Switch 2 editions later, I think, because I got some stuff to say about that too.
Yeah, but it is it is an extended version. That's fair.
Yeah, but I guess I will say this, and I'm assuming this probably will be a question as well, but like, let's assuming that I actually do get a Switch 2, like, or at least soon, but I highly doubt it. But anyway, so assuming I were to get one soon, it's like, I hope we can use that game share feature, which, I mean, the PS5 has.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
Trust me.
we haven't had that since, like,
We're
DS
gonna, like I said, we're gonna cover that and in a little while.
Like,
but
yeah, if we get to that, then I mean, I would be intrigued to try it and play with y'all.
as far as like my personal thoughts on it, I'm relatively indifferent to the new additions. Obviously, more Mario Party, new fun, new content. I'm happy to try whatever. Maybe it's just my setup. Maybe it's just maybe it's just like how certain things work. I don't feel all that great about the mechanics that rely on the microphone. I feel like it's going to either be either way too difficult to get it to work the way I want it to, or entirely too easy to a point where it requires basically no effort to succeed. Which I realize that, when it comes to Mario Party, how hard you try is only going to matter so much. But if it requires just as much effort to succeed as, in terms of, oh, hey, I'll replicate this voice, and then I actually try to replicate it, versus me just screaming into the mic and getting the same result, what's the point? That's my only concern with that, but aside from that, I'm happy with it.
It's a throwback to the DS mechanics.
I think also Mario Party 6 had that mechanic, because the GameCube definitely had a mic accessory you could use. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on now. Stop me, you've heard this preface before. Aside from the price of the upgrade pack, what are your thoughts, if any, on the improved versions of Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom? Josh returns to the chat.
So is there really any additions besides like boosted frame rate and graphics and Zelda Note Zap?
To my knowledge, no.
I can't believe we have Google Maps for Zelda.
That is the funniest thing ever. I was like, I could just have Siri guide me everywhere.
Which is going to make my eventual playthrough a whole lot easier, but I digress.
Right.
Well, I'm interested in the lower loading times and less pop-in. But I watched the treehouse, part of the treehouse. I didn't have time to watch all of it, unfortunately. And they were like comparing the graphics and frame rate and seeing how different they are. And I'm like, I guess I can see a few more leaves on that tree. But I personally couldn't see a lot of difference in the tail. But apparently a lot of other people did. But I could barely see it. But the load times are lower. And I'm looking forward to no pop-in. And hopefully fast responses to actions. That'd be cool too.
Oh yeah, somebody else pointed this out online. Breath of the Wild is now going to be on 3 consecutive Nintendo consoles, which they're literally Skyrimming it.
It's
Breath of the Wild will also get a movie made in a few years.
Oh yeah, the live-action Zelda movie.
God bless. One crisis at a time. Israel, have anything to add?
No, honestly.
Okay.
I was just gonna make a comment, I think, but I don't even remember anymore.
All right. Well, if you remember, feel free to speak up before we move on. Ryan, have you spoken your piece?
The upgrades definitely seemed interesting. Having a new world for Kirby Lost World, that's going to be nice. That was a super fun game. It would be nice to go back to that. Oh yeah, for graphics, I suck at telling apart graphics. I really can't tell, like, with the super high fidelity. I never really got people that were super obsessed with all of that. Like, it's hard for me to notice the difference between 30 and 60 FPS, and especially, like, at max settings. The last max settings versus the most recent max settings, I genuinely can't tell the difference, and I don't often care that much. So it didn't seem like it's for me. I'm not that obsessed with graphics as some people are, and I never really got those people.
That's fair. I will say, obviously this just comes with my line where, as someone who has to stare at recordings of my gameplay over and over and over again, I can tell you that like now that because I have like a custom 4K adapter which ups the graphics on my Switch to 4K manually. It doesn't increase the frame rate necessarily, but it does increase the graphics. But whenever I've done a recording without using that adapter, if I go back without it, it's like, oh wow, this does make a significant difference. But obviously, it's like my sole assignment when editing is looking through everything. And when you do it one way over and over, and then you should go back, it does make a difference. So I think
no need to take Editor Griffin's pride.
So it improves streamability. That makes sense.
It improves streamability, but I think I don't know. For me, it was, and it's the small things. Like me just seeing Link's hair blow in the wind at that higher frame rate was very satisfying to watch.
You could see that?
Yes. And again,
you do have to have a bigger screen to really see the differences, right. I would say.
And like it's actually been established, like some people, like they can't physically see as fast as other people. Like they can't process images as fast. So that may also be a contributing factor, is that some people just may not be able to see the increased frames or the additional frames that are in that moment, and therefore they literally cannot physically appreciate the change because they can't recognize it. I'm not saying that is outright the case for any of you. I'm just entertaining the possibility that may be why. Or I've just acclimated to being able to see the difference. I don't know. I believe that covers our thoughts, unless that gleaning thought Israel had has come back to him.
Yeah, but it's not relevant. It was just, I think, a correctional comment that Joshua made.
I will say the only other last thing I'm gonna say. I am not gonna factor in the price too much, but I will say I do appreciate the option to just upgrade the current Switch 1 version I have over having to just buy the whole thing whole hog again, because that was my number one concern. Because when one really good example is like with Persona 5 Royal. So they released Persona 5 Royal for PS4, and then a few years later they re-released it on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation 5. Those versions, exact same game, but it ran at 60 frames instead of 30. And everything was smoother and made my Let's Play redundant as a result of it. But that's neither here nor there. But like, if I wanted to get the optimal version of Persona 5 Royal, I'd have to spend $60 a game. Whereas with this situation, it's like I don't have to buy the game entirely whole hog. I just take the version I already have, spend $20, upgrade it, done.
And also, just to jump on that a little bit, just to add on to that, something they didn't mention in this thing, but in addition to like the Switch 2 Edition games where you like have additional content, a frame rate boost, and you have to pay for that, they are also giving free graphical and updates to select Switch games and giving them a boost completely for free. So like Super Mario Odyssey is one of them, a few smaller games, and then of course the big one, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So that's going to make a lot of people happy.
God, I'm so happy about that.
What upgrades do they have for Scarlet and Violet? I didn't actually.
It has not been confirmed what it is going to be. It just said that they were going to release a major performance upgrade, and they did not imply
it is a free major performance upgrade.
It's free.
Like there's no new content like there is with the other games, but
it's just going to run better.
It's a free graphical upgrade, and for Scarlet and Violet, again, going to make a lot of people happy.
We've been through enough.
It needs
All right. It really needs it. Okay, we're moving on. So, this is be fun for you guys. What are your thoughts on the game known as Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour? You may factor in price here.
Listen,
I highly encourage it.
Someone else, we can over each other, okay.
Free!
Okay, listen. If I wanted to take a tour around my Nintendo Switch 2, I would literally just pick up the thing and look at it, okay? I am not spending more money for just to walk around it for a little bit, okay?
I think I know why they do this. Wii Sports was the most sold Wii game of all time, and from then on, they promised they would never risk giving out a game for free that could become really popular. So now all of their tech demos need to be sold for money. They will never let a Wii Sports happen again.
God
I want to
bless.
point out the difference between a Wii Sports and this. It's literally just a museum. And
But
you can
Wii Sports was
walk
literally made to test out motion controls, and they want to make
That
sure.
was an actual game. This isn't
Yeah,
a
I
real
know.
Launch title, which, by the way, Mario Kart World will be bundled with the Switch, so that's... I mean,
We'll
Makes
address
sense. I think
we'll
the
address that later.
I can't believe they're charging for. This seems like the most obvious. This is free, and this is a download on the main system that there's not even a card for. Why would they make it a physical game that you charge for?
It's like,
Or why couldn't you leave it downloaded on the system and make it free for everyone?
it doesn't make sense. It does not make a lick of sense. Like I can't justify the price at all. The only reason that you would like really want this is if like you're just so certain that your child is just not going to get it unless the game explains it to them itself, which fine, but it's like it's not rocket surgery. Kids are getting smarter. You heard what I said. There is no such thing as rocket surgery, hence it's not.
are kids getting smarter, though?
Apparently,
They're more adept
if
to
nothing else,
technology. If
they're
nothing
not
else.
going to charge $60 for it for one.
Technologically, yes, but they're also more susceptible to brain rot, unfortunately.
That's a whole other
Apparently
discussion.
it's going to be like $10, which is that's what it's looking like, but that's still quite a bit.
It should have been free.
And again, who are we to judge? We are 20-year-olds playing
it's-
video games.
Well,
We are below. The average gamer is 40. We are young.
35,
and
actually, but yeah.
and
Be
fresh.
like the NES players,
Stop
or like the Atari
stop
players.
decreasing the number, Luke.
No, the good thing it means we're younger and younger.
Okay. Any other thoughts you care to give for the Nintendo Switch 2 welcome tour?
They did say there was going to be like little mini games in different sections of the Switch tour, so there is actual games.
Not worth paying for. Wasn't We Play also free at some point?
No, but I did come bundled with the console.
Yeah.
Like I got mine in a bundle with my play.
I'd sooner play
ever, like,
Nintendo
the
Land
Wii U
again.
one. Yeah,
Hey, we
Nintendo
play was fun.
and was just
I'm nostalgic, but we play was fun.
Oh, also, I remember looking at that demo before even realizing you have to pay for it and being like, who wants to read slideshows? Isn't the whole point just to make video games, like mini games, point them out? Who's gonna be like, oh, dang, I have to go in here and click on this panel to read everything about it instead of actually using it?
I would love it. I would die if they did like competitive Nintendo Switch Tour welcome tour. They had like live speed runs of all the mini games. That'd be so silly. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on. I'm gonna say that this next one, I'm kept it in here just to kind of be inclusive. If you don't have thoughts on this, fine, we can skip this. What are your thoughts on the game known as Drag X Drive?
I'll go first.
All right, go ahead, Luke.
Okay, so in terms of like a wheelchair basketball game, that's cool. In terms of like using something to like show the mouse feature off, that's cool. But other than that, the game is just so unappealing to me. Like visually speaking and gameplay wise, it's like that seems to be like, really the only feature it has. And like comparing it to Splatoon and to ARMS, like those games had colorful characters, really vibrant art styles and everything. This is just like gray backgrounds and guys in like biker gear just rolling around, and it's very uninteresting for me. Like a very bad first impression for a new IP for Switch 2, if you ask me.
You know
Alright.
it's gonna get hit for the wrong crowd also, and I feel bad for it on that front. But I see what you mean, Luke.
The wheelchair
They could
crowd.
be more colorful. They could make it prettier.
Hey, And feel free to censor this, Griffin.
Oh, I've
But hey,
censored enough as it is. Go ahead.
No, trust me, you're gonna want to censor this.
Okay.
Like, adding on to Paige's points, like, if I was a gamer, maybe this game is for him.
Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm saying, censor it.
Yeah. Editor Griffin, please delete everything. Okay.
Okay, but actually adding to my point, or sorry, the point that I actually want to talk about this, not the joke that I mentioned.
Okay.
So I mean, it's already been mentioned that this is probably like the Nintendo Switch 2's version of like ARMS or even Splatoon, as you mentioned. But you know what else it reminded me for some reason? It kind of reminded me of like Rocket League, but I guess inferior. I don't know.
Yeah,
I got the
that's
same
right.
notion.
It does have the motion that's similar to that, but yeah, that's all that was going through my head. It's like, this is just a worse ARMS. Ryan, do you have anything to contribute?
Nothing like ARMS. It's a completely
I
different.
mean, it seems fine. I wasn't interested in it. It just seems okay and just looked fun to showcase and was just such a weird concept. I think that's just looking at it from that perspective of that. I didn't expect that, and that's my only thoughts on it.
They would have to really nail the mouse features that they have, because if those aren't perfect, no one's going to be able to play this game properly. It'll be situations in the past where they couldn't get to work so they have to test that to hell and back. Because if one thing goes wrong, it'll be unplayable.
All right. We're going to move on to another question. I am glad that you're here, Israel. Next question. Aside from price, what are your thoughts, if any, on Donkey Kong Bonanza? And just to kind of add some additional kind of follow-ups with that, what are your thoughts on the redesign of Donkey Kong? Do you find the mechanics of the game appealing? Israel,
Okay,
go.
I was gonna say thank you.
Israel
Actually, let me
first.
mention that, but could I actually go last again? Because
Sure.
I'm gonna talk for a
Okay,
while.
I'll go first then. So first of all, this is made by the Super Mario Odyssey team. Like, you can even tell with the visual style, and from that alone, like, just looking at the gameplay, especially in the treehouse footage, I'm really impressed with how they've been able to do this. Like, for one, of course, Donkey Kong we've been waiting for a 3D Donkey Kong game since we were born, literally. It's been that long, since 64. And they've honestly just gone way higher than I could have anticipated. They're going a fun art style, they're making it a really fun gameplay, and I don't think people realize just how insane the level design is with this game. Like, if you see the treehouse footage, you are literally able to smash everything. Every single little thing. And you are able to do so. There's so much creativity, not only with like what you can do with what all you can smash, but the developers probably had to do 3 to 5 times more of the level design on top of that. So that's gonna make it an insanely big platformer and really a really big game, honestly. I'm honestly anticipating that this could be one of the biggest platformers of the decade. I'm gonna say that right now.
All right.
Did Odyssey come out? Odyssey was last decade.
Yes.
It was
it came out in the first year of the Switch.
Yeah, I have the COVID destroyed my sense of time.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I distinctly remember playing Odyssey back when the Swashies were in the South Dorm. So, yeah, it's been out for a while.
The South
Yeah.
is that when that came out?
Yeah.
I think it came out the first year that the Switch came out, which was like 2015, 16?
Yeah.
2017.
Well, either way,
What?
we were in South by that point.
Sound right. That doesn't sound right.
That is right. I distinctly remember
I
it.
remember that, like, because, well, I mean, this is not gonna be a part of what I'm gonna say, but it's interesting. It's probably bad for me to say, and please, current college kids, or I guess even grade school kids, don't do this for that matter. Don't actually do this, but I remember, I think it was like at the end of the fall semester, it was like fall 2017, I think it was, that I was so dead set on trying to beat Super Mario Odyssey, and boy, I think in the final day, like, of classes before reading days and finals, I literally took my Switch to Music History 1 just to try to beat the game.
Oh no.
Respect.
And of course I did.
Oh no.
Like I said, it's like college kids and grade school students, please don't actually do that.
I mean, I know for me, I replayed Odyssey and proceeded to 100% it a second time.
God bless. Ryan, so what are your thoughts on Donkey Kong Bonanza?
Woo! New Odyssey.
All right.
That is
Suitable answer. Suitable answer. Good answer. Good answer. Paige?
I don't see a difference between DK's new look and his old look. Did it change?
It's just the eye line, like instead of having like pointed slanty like downwards, it's now upwards, and it resembles. They say it resembles the old DK or the arcade, but really it just resembles the DK.
Like the Miyamoto design versus the Rareware design.
All right. I have one thing to add.
Yep.
Why are we not talking about the pants?
I didn't even
He
notice
has
the-
pants.
I noticed
didn't
the
notice
hard hat,
the
but not the
on
pants. Oh
the
lord.
recent-
He
Oh,
has
Lord.
pants in this game.
I
Why
noticed
does he have
difference.
pants? I don't mind
I
his
didn't
pants,
notice-
but why are you just overlooking that? He has overalls.
I didn't know he was naked before this. I'll be honest.
All he wore was a tie for years.
Nudist. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That was his whole deal. DK tie. That's
I
ill.
didn't know that.
Why is he wearing pants? He's not even wearing
I
pants in Mario Kart.
He just looked.
Like, not even in the new one.
That's his uniform. That's his work uniform. He got a job. He's a working man now.
Yeah, he's got a hard hat and everything. Actually, I'm with Paige here.
When he was in a construction zone, he only wore a tie.
Which, although, yeah, he's working for a mining company and he's smashing everything. That does not check out.
Canonically, the only time he has worn any article of clothing other than the tie was when he was an infant, because in that instance he wore a diaper. That's it.
Are you referring to No, wait. Are you referring to Donkey Kong Jr.?
Well, yeah, technically Donkey Kong Jr., which this iteration is technically the least child of that.
I
but
can get on the whole lore.
Don't do a whole lore dump. Just give me your thoughts
Video.
on Donkey Kong Bonanza. You want to do a lore about Donkey Kong? Make that on your own time.
Okay. It's like, sorry, I need to correct this, but Donkey Kong Jr. No, this is like no. I would like to think, despite what the movie said, that the modern Donkey Kong that we play as is actually Donkey Kong the Third, while Cranky Kong, of course, is the original Donkey Kong.
Right. I didn't mean to imply that.
Yeah, I do think that Cranky was confirmed to be the Donkey Kong from like the arcade.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yes, that has been explicitly confirmed. So Israel, what are your thoughts on Donkey Kong Bonanza?
Okay. I have thoughts. I mean, good ones, of course, but also like opinional ones. I'm not gonna say that, this design is shit. And I was like, no. Like, I will say, yeah, definitely when we first saw a teaser of like Mario Kart World before we knew it was called Mario Kart World, I was definitely thrown off by the design of Donkey Kong. And how would I say? So yeah, I mean, it. And so then just seeing that design on this new Donkey Kong game, I was like, wow, we're really doing this. And again, I'm not trying to say that the design. I mean, yes, it's true. I much prefer the Rareware design over, well, I guess Miyamoto's design. No offense, Miyamoto-san, Papi Miyamoto. But anyway, but yeah, I'm kind of starting to, warm up to it, like in context of the game. But it's also weird because, I mean, Cranky Kong, from the looks of it, still mostly keeps his Rareware design. But getting to the actual game, but yeah, it looks very fun. I mean, yeah, I know, sadly, I'm not getting like another 2D Donkey Kong game to make like a DKC 6, but I mean, 3D Donkey Kong game, I'm actually very intrigued to try it. Like, as a Donkey Kong fan, I want to try it. And like Luke said, yeah, it's been since 1999, I think, since we last got a 3D DK game with DK64, and especially with the weird like history that game's had. I mean, while I haven't played it personally, and I would actually like to, what I find interesting is that DK64 went from being a very beloved game for how much you had to do, versus in 2017, I think it was when people started to hate on it just because of it having too many collectibles and whatnot. And then it's like now today, or I guess even last year, it's like now I actually see like I don't want to say mixed opinions, but definitely it's like you either love it or you hate it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
So then going back to Donkey Kong Bonanza, is like in comparison to Donkey Kong 64, it's like of course I hope they actually fix like some of the problems that a lot of people had with GK64, you know, going very excessive with collectibles. But I think that that's a possibility. Because two different developers, of course, with DK64 being made by Rare, as they wanted to outdo themselves with what they did with Banjo-Kazooie, and I guess even Tooie for that matter. Well, I don't think Tooie came out at the time, but anyways. But yeah, as you said, the Super Mario Odyssey team worked on this. It's like, yeah, I'm hoping it goes well, and I think I have confidence it will. And I guess if I can add this one meme, so of course, you know how, like, at least in the American version, right, Yoshi's Island was also called Super Mario World 2, and then I think Wario Land, I think that was also called Super Mario Land 3. I don't remember. So then I saw a meme saying, jokingly saying that, oh, Donkey Kong Bonanza is really just Super Mario Odyssey 2.
I
Yeah, I know. It's a lot to say, even if some of this, a good amount of this stuff is off topic, but like I said, I had thoughts and I intended to share them.
That's fair.
Of course. You've been waiting for this for a long time. You deserve this spot.
Yeah, he's been waiting for it for like
good.
2 days.
I'm good over here, even if I don't get to eat immediately.
I do agree that the design looks...
Prices, which, again, we'll talk about that in a later question.
We'll address it later.
I do agree that the design looks slightly off to me, but I'm mostly just comparing it to like Ultimate Smash 4 Donkey Kong, which I'm a lot more familiar with. I don't actually know a ton about his previous designs. Just like compared to, I mostly know him from Smash. That's the main time he's been playable for me, so that's the only design of him I know.
That's fair. His design's pretty consistent throughout the games. This game and Mario Kart World are pretty much like the only times where people have been like, "Ooh, wow, he really looks different."
Okay, if I can add one more thing before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll be open to this new design overall, but I guess if Retro Studios or I guess any other company were to, or I guess even Nintendo themselves were to make a Donkey Kong Country game, as in like country specifically, or I guess even land if they decide to bring that for whatever reason. It's like, I would like for the Rare design to be used in the country games. That's just hoping.
We'll see.
And then I guess there's one other thing that this game also reminded me of for whatever reason, like Donkey Kong Bonanza. And I haven't played this game either, and I know, as a Donkey Kong fan, shame on me, but for whatever reason, it kind of gave me Donkey Kong Jungle Beat vibes. You know, the GameCube game, the very first game overall to get the E10 rating.
What
yes, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat was the very first game ever to get the E10 rating.
Why? What gave it 10?
I do not know. Let's not go into that.
Let's move on. Guys, we have a lot of questions. We need to move on. I know there isn't a lot to go on with this next question, so I'm mainly just trying to get your opinions on initial reactions. Aside from the potential prize, it has not yet been established. What are your thoughts on Kirby Air Riders?
What?
I'm happy. Like, I played a little bit of, I casually got to play Kirby Air Ride, the GameCube version, like back in Swash Hall.
Oh.
It's definitely different from, your typical Kirby game, but it's pretty interesting. I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do with Kirby Air Riders.
Sakurai's at the helm, so I'm
very
excited
for this.
Yeah.
I played a decent amount of Kirby Air Ride at a friend's house when I was young. I never did much of the races. City Trial was just too much fun, and I was so happy when like Smash 4, it was essentially a basically their own version of Kirby Air Ride's City Tour.
To be honest, I think that's all anyone never did, or most of what anyone did in Kirby Air Ride City Tour.
City Tour was fantastic, and like having that version for like the Switch on like Smash 4 for the 3DS was amazing and a ton of fun. And I also did that one a bunch, like single player, and that was so much fun to do.
Yeah. So if those elements come back, then I think it'll be fine. And again, Sakurai's at the helm. He knows how to make fun games. I'm not worried about it.
And he's not going to mistreat his child for that matter.
Yeah, I mean Kirby's his baby, and people wanted.
Him.
Yeah, I mean people wanted a return to form with Kirby Air Ride, and we got Kirby Air Riders. So hopefully with better technology and Sakurai at the helm, we should be fine. As long as one other issue does not.
Yeah, again,
don't say what could go wrong, Israel. A lot's gotten wrong within 2 days.
Okay.
We'll get there later.
I'm just really glad that Sakurai is coming back, and he's doing something that he gets to be a little bit more passionate about again, like back in Uprising.
Sakurai left. When did Sakurai leave?
He didn't leave. He took a hiatus to work on his YouTube channel, but he's back with the game. And yeah, he's gonna do something fun, and it's gonna be something that people have been wanting for a long time. Like
for that matter,
Kirby
too.
Air Ride I didn't own it, but it
Wait.
was the first Kirby game I ever played. So this made that when I saw that trailer, that made me just nearly cry with nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Obviously, we don't have a lot to go on right now, so we'll have to kind of see if
But
our
also-
opinion changes later. But I'm sure we'll get something. I'm not too worried about it.
People are going to bring it up eventually. Smash is going to come for the Switch too. Do not worry, people.
Yeah,
They are going to do that, even if it's Sakurai not at the helm, which that would be fine as long as they choose the right person. But yes, Nintendo will never let that series die. It is way too big of a thing for them.
They're the only ones that can make that
That's like
concept
the
work.
question. What do
And
they
even-
add after Ultimate? Already added all the characters. Do they do that again? Just keep adding more characters, or will the
I think
next
that would be
three?
highly improbable.
We're getting off topic now.
We're discussing that. We can just go
We'll talk about that another time. Because again, we have a lot more questions to
I'd
cover.
be 100% fine with them cutting back on the cast and then like doing what most
there.
fighting games do and like slowly implementing more as when the game's out.
We're gonna move on. Next question, what are your thoughts concerning the release of GameCube games with the expansion pack for Nintendo Online? Among the games shown for future release, which game has you the most excited?
Okay, on the one hand, yes, finally, GameCube games, it should have happened on the Switch or even the Wii U, finally.
It
But
should
on the
have
other
been at
hand,
launch.
why do we not have Wii and Wii U games on NSO? This brings me to my giant problem with NSO. It is too lacking and it is too pricey. Like I've not gotten it because it's just that much. Again, we can probably talk about this some other time, but I mean, I'm at least glad that we have GameCube finally.
Baby steps.
Exclusive to Switch 2.
Baby steps.
Yeah, I still have not touched most of the Switch Virtual Console stuff when they put it behind Switch Online because I have not bought Switch Online.
Right.
I only have the basic version of it.
Paige and I are on a family plan with Eric. So, I mean, if you saw my reaction, you know that my excitement was pretty intense.
I remember seeing that.
I made noises that I should not have been able to physically make with my body. I have not made. I have not made those pitches since I was at latest 13. Yes! 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 Ah! 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 It's very silly. Just going on to just general tangent. Pokemon Coliseum and XD are the games I'm the most excited about to see come back. But generally speaking, it's a big deal that so many GameCube titles are going to be made available because a lot of those titles are very hard to get.
PB Robo Ziplash, Path of
Yeah, I
Radiance.
think that one probably would be the hardest of them all.
So, mine would be Path of Radiance and mostly Chibi Robo because I already own Path of Radiance on my GameCube, but the fact that it's out there again is really cool. But Chibi Robo, it rarely gets re-releases. I don't think it got one anytime before this. I think the only legal way to play it was on the GameCube.
I'll go
Wait, did
next.
you say Ziplash? Isn't that the 3DS game?
Oh wait, yeah, I'm stupid. Sorry, Chibi Robo, just
Yeah.
Chibi Robo. Ziplash
Yeah,
is
it's
the
just
one that
Chibi Robo,
got the
not-
walls always puts in the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
It's all good.
I am so frustrated that it took this long for them to actually release a playable version of Ike's games.
God
I know,
bless.
right?
God bless.
It's been. I was looking forward to it for the entirety of the Wii U lifespan, and eventually I broke down and emulated it. Like,
Well, you can play
it's
Radiant
not
Dawn.
coming out in this console generation, and
Nintendo
it
asked
didn't,
for this.
or the next.
Okay, Radiant Dawn was on the Wii, and that's also really expensive.
Yeah, I know, but the Wii U.
Yeah.
After I saw that they did Metroid Prime, that you could buy the version digitally. They're like, oh man, I'm holding out hope for the being able to get Ike's games on that. Maybe they'll even release a GameCube version so we can emulate the GameCube games that are costing $200.
Hey, we're here now. We're here now.
Okay, so I
That
have.
was 20 years. That was over 10 years ago.
Okay.
That was 15 years ago.
I know.
It's happened now, thankfully. Okay, now, for me, the most excited what game I'm for, and I also have a least excited game. We'll get to that though. Most excited though, Luigi's Mansion, because that'll allow all 3 games finally to be able to playable on a console. So thank goodness, I'm very happy about that. And I haven't never played the first one, so looking forward to that. The one I'm least excited though for, Wind Waker. You guys know my opinions about Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD and how they did not put them on this list, and that pisses me off. And now they're probably not going to do that for a long while or just never. So that's really infuriating right there.
That's, you know what? That's entirely fair, because they could have just as easily put the remakes on
Those
it.
games are basically like what Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is for me, I'm assuming, right? Leaving a sour taste.
No, you have your own problems. This is kind of more of an issue of they should have released the remade versions, but instead they just released one of the GameCube games, not the other, and left it at that.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then also they didn't release the updated versions because, again, they are updated versions. Nintendo should be promoting those and making those more available. Like, the fact that I have to now scour the internet for Ocarina of Time 3D, which I now have, thankfully, just to play the definitive version of Ocarina of Time is infuriating. I want to be able to play high-def Ocarina of Time on my TV, but no.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Boo-hoo!
Well, it's just I understand your plight, but at the same time, there are bigger problems, man.
At the very least, you can't call Majora's Mask 3D the definitive version.
No, you cannot.
I suppose that's a benefit. It was so terrible. It is actually kind of funny because they nerfed the movement speed so much. When you exit one of the cave areas, you literally do not have enough momentum in Deku form to reach the first platform. You have to go back towards the loading area to get a running start. Otherwise, you will just suicide off into the lake. It's hilarious.
Was that the 3DS version?
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yes, it is that bad.
And Zora controls are worse.
That's the one I have.
Let's go ahead and move on, because again.
Wait, I don't think I got the answer.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Israel. Answer your question.
Okay, so yeah, it's like finally we're getting the GameCube games, like, and honestly, it's a shame this didn't happen for the Switch, and it's sad that it's technically speaking never gonna happen for the Switch 1. But I guess at least like in terms of the value for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, well, assuming you get the Switch 2 console, I guess that this will make the value of the service, a bit more justifiable.
Right.
Completely? Well, I'm not sure. Well, at least not on the current base, but I guess it does make it more enticing. But as far as the games, well, as far as the ones that were shown in the trailers, I suppose, like Pokemon Coliseum, and I guess it also would be a good time for me to try XD Gale of Darkness, because people and I'm not saying they're wrong for doing this, but they love hyping this game to death.
It's a good game.
Yeah, I had it as a kid. That's
Again,
what
I'm
I'm
not saying
looking
they're
forward
wrong
to.
for doing it.
That's what I'm looking forward to the most. I played Coliseum much later than XD, and even trying to replay it, it's just not as fun.
It's hard to get into.
What, XD or what?
Coliseum.
Coliseum.
Mainly it's hard to finish. That's the main thing. It's very hard to finish.
Correct me
Yes,
if I'm wrong.
it gets very tedious, and I never had that problem in the slightest when doing
No,
XD.
XD has so many improvements.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is Coliseum supposed to be like the GameCube version of like the Stadium games, or even?
No, it was essentially the prequel to XD.
Well,
Oh.
I mean, Israel is half right because Coliseum does use a lot of the models from the Stadium games, and also it does have the versus mode from the Stadium games. So
Okay.
it does
But I guess
function
it's-
as the Stadium games, but there's actual story mode to it. But XD does
Okay, but
that
I
too.
I guess to answer one final part of this question, as far as GameCube games overall, probably the one that I would be the most excited for. Well, I mean, I guess the DK fan in me would say, yeah, I should try Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. I mean, as different and unique as that game is, but outside of that, I guess I would say Mario Kart Double Dash.
Oh yeah, that'd be really cool if they
And
put
yes,
that on.
and yes, more so than Super Smash Bros. Melee. I'm sorry, Melee lovers. Especially those who are brawl shooters.
I didn't even factor that in. Jesus. Okay. We're gonna
What
move.
game is that? What game did he say? I missed that.
Smash
Melee.
Brothers Melee.
Oh, God's right. Melee's not on there because Nintendo hates it that much.
Well, again, they didn't say it's not gonna be on there. It just hasn't been
And they
confirmed
also
it's gonna be
think
on
of it,
there.
they didn't even put Smash
64 is still not on there. So
Yeah.
They didn't put Smash
It's only on Wii,
Bros.
that's right. We still can't play Smash 64.
All right. Let's move on.
No one
So-
jacked about 64.
All right. So now this is going to be the last question concerning like subject matter of games. Not to say we won't talk about a certain other matter of games, but at least as far as judging games and reacting to them on their respective merits. Is there any other game, be it a new game, a re-release, or a remaster, that was mentioned during the April 2nd Direct that you are particularly excited about? If
I already
first
said
of all,
mine.
I think you skipped the question. Actually, you skipped the one about Duskbloods.
I removed that unless you really want to talk about it.
Okay.
Yes,
no,
I
no.
do. I absolutely do.
So this would be your avenue to talk about it.
Yeah, okay. So, I find it hilarious. This is hilarious. So, what they did before is they did an exclusive with Bloodborne for Sony, and Sony has a tight grip on that. They refuse to allow FromSoft to remaster it or make a sequel of any kind to Bloodborne. So, I find it absolutely hilarious that they just go to Nintendo and like, hey, do you want Bloodborne, but not really Bloodborne, and exclusively for you? And it's like if they went to anyone else, it would eventually have to go to Sony consoles, right? But here, absolutely not. That's
And
hilarious.
They made it vampires.
Yeah, I just find I feel bad for the Bloodborne fans who wanted to play this and aren't going to get a Switch, and I understand. I hear all the downsides, like there shouldn't be an exclusive game like this anymore. I understand all that, but I just find the pettiness of this top tier. I love it, and I hear it's going to be an 8-player PvP PvE game, and it sounds pretty interesting. FromSoft aren't usually my kind of game, but I don't know if I will get this, but I do. I admire the audacity.
Fair enough. I also think like just getting a From Software exclusive, that's gonna be a huge boost, and like they have they have a huge fan base, so people are gonna buy the thing just for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Also, Elden Ring on Switch, that is amazing.
And for me, there's only one game
Forgot
now
about
that I
that.
could mention, and that's Deltarune Chapter 3 being announced. Release date being the release date of Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah, no, that's a huge. Well, it's 3 and 4.
What did Ryan say? My
Deltarune
thing
Chapter
cut out.
3 is what he's excited
Oh.
about. Well, actually, it's Chapter
3 and
3 and
4.
4.
Yes,
Wait,
Chapter 3 and
one's
4 is
right.
releasing the same day as Switch 2, and it's going to be on Switch 2
amazing.
and all other platforms.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
insanity. That Toby Fox.
He he announced it there. We were all wondering, what is it going to do for April Fools? He waited one day and announced, oh yeah, release date is here is on the Nintendo Direct.
So I think
Speaking of in development games, sorry to interrupt Griffin, but Hollow Knight Silk Song. They just like randomly had like 5 seconds of
I
footage.
know,
Like,
right? That's
But-
hilarious. That's one of the most wanted desired games from Anticipate. That's the game I'm looking for. And they just did it in like part of the highlight reel section. That's hilarious.
Yep. BTW, this is here now.
Honestly, they could have had a whole segment to that.
It exists still.
Speaking
God
of that, I
bless.
feel bad for Enter the Gungeon 2. Luke, I know you didn't see it, but apparently it was a huge problem with, like, the stream did pause. There was no picture, it was just audio. And that was during the entire Enter the Gungeon 2 segment. So I feel bad for him, for the developers of that. Because most people who saw the live show did not see Enter the Gungeon 2.
Yeah, for the people at home, I watched the stream afterwards, and it was the UK stream because my VPN is a
Yeah.
piece of
Yeah, they fixed it for the... Yeah, if you watched it live, you couldn't... There was entire segments kind of not seen. Which
course.
I did watch it live.
I did not. I was doing my taxes. No, wait, that was much more. Anyway, so the game I'm actually looking forward to that hasn't been talked about, Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment.
Oh yeah.
That's a thing. I was not ready for that. I wasn't sure if we were getting like a spin-off or something, but no, like it's proper Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment. I am so excited to see like a lot of the characters from the past be actualized.
I'm a little concerned that they're going to change what happens, like they did in Age of Calamity, because that was one of the things I was looking forward to. Spoilers alert, people. But in Age of Calamity, they do time travel shenanigans from the Breath of the Wild, and they make it so way the end of the world never happened in the past. So I guess they're living in a separate timeline. And I was looking forward to a game that actually had a sad ending, a bad ending that was going to be fixed in 100 years, but that ending would have been like, there's still hope, but it's looking really bleak, and they just did time travel shenanigans with all the new Guardians meeting the old ones and make sure it never happened. So I hope they don't do that with Age of Imprisonment or something like that. I hope it actually ends the way it started. The way we know it.
They actually do like what all Star Wars media does when doing anything in prequel territory, and have it build up to the inevitable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
66.
Well, but that's it. Like
The Star Wars franchise having that as like an opportunity for an end goal for a series set in the prequel makes prequel stuff even more hype, because there's always that like lingering thread in the back.
Exactly. You know what's gonna happen. That's kind of what makes it better. So I'm hoping they don't pull the same stunt here.
End on a bad note. Why? It's so few games let you end on a bad note.
Exactly.
It's
It's not even a bad
okay.
note. It's a hopeful note. It's bleak.
Yeah, I do hope they don't pull it again, but we'll see.
Yeah. Also, Zelda is finally playable in Tears of the Kingdom, technically.
Well, okay. Well, listen. In that vein, she was also playable in Spirit Tracks in the original Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, although to be fair, like,
Ooh.
on another note, they also made Echoes of Wisdom just because of people complaining.
Oh, and
about
Echoes of
that.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
That's it.
I guess. Echoes, let's go back. Echoes of Wisdom makes me happy. I'm glad they didn't completely abandon 2D traditional Zelda game.
Yeah.
I mean, they used the Link's Awakening remake engine.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that.
I don't like that
But still a
engine,
new
but that's a
game.
whole other issue. Israel?
I already talked about it, and you know what question.
Okay. So I believe that covers the game-based questions. Okay, so now we're going to kind of talk about the Switch 2 itself. So let's start with something rather simple and straightforward. How did you feel concerning the release date of the Switch 2 when it was presented? I stress
Should have
the
been
win.
holiday.
Should have been the holiday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I feel like it
doing
should've
it
been
way too
later.
soon, letting the hype build up over time.
Yeah.
And then also, you have to get in the right window. Releasing in the middle of June, nothing really comes out then except for Steam sales and stuff like that. You want to?
I think I know why they didn't release during the holidays. I hear that for GTA 6, every single publisher is giving them a wide berth, and that's when they think it's going to release later in the year.
I do think it is a good move because it gives a good amount of time for Switch 2 to be out. Instead of having it coming out on the holidays means that its launch is going to be restricted to that. But now kids that get it at Christmas are going to have a couple of months of build-up, so there's going to be a very large library of potential games instead of just being stuck with 1 or 2 games, which was a disaster for Wii U. They learned.
I guess that's fair.
I
think it's a smart move.
I'll also point out that the original Switch, like if you looked at the release date for that was released on March 3rd, 2017.
Right.
Which is arguably worse.
My birthday is March 6th, so I remember.
Yeah. So
You know,
so I don't see it as
I remember. I mean, of course, like of course, with how much time has gone ever since the Switch, came out versus when I bought it. I think I remember I was gonna buy the Switch with the Super Mario Odyssey bundle. I was gonna go on the same night as Haunted Hall, but then Paige insisted that she was gonna make my life. Well, I mean, she didn't say she was gonna make my life a living, but she definitely said something discouraging. So that made me wait until the following day to get it. Do you remember what you said, Paige?
What did I say? Wait, what was it about? What was the question?
Oh no, remember when I was gonna get a Switch 1, on the day of, or the night of, the day of Haunted Hall, and then you said something that discouraged me from getting it?
Won't you be dead tomorrow anyways?
No, I feel like you said something else.
I have no idea.
It has been nearly 8 years. I would like to remind you.
It's been nearly a decade. I don't know what I was thinking, but maybe my guess is I would have been just like, dude, it's Haunted Hall. Tomorrow you're not going to be doing anything. You're going to be sleeping until 3 p.m.
It's a valid point.
That's the only thing I could think of.
Paige couldn't even talk the next day. That's how distressed she was.
Oh, that was the best. It was so weird. You're talking and nothing coming out.
Okay, but
wild.
Okay, but I guess actually sharing my thoughts of the console that we're talking about, what I will say...
Oh my god.
Yeah, I guess on this release alone, it will be too early, especially considering my personal situation, which I'm not going to get into on the recording, because no one needs to know about my personal life. But I guess getting to the point that I think Ryan was making, I guess, it does make sense in terms of, if you release it at a certain point, that way you can have more games by holidays. So, I mean, I guess in that strategy, it makes sense. And I guess, and if GTA 6 were to release on that, I guess, on the holidays, which, hey, Switch 2 releasing before GTA 6. Oh, well.
I mean, everything's coming up before GTA 6. Literally everything has. Everything that has and will come.
Except Half-Life 3.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, my thoughts are pretty similar. I was excited at first, but next day I was talking about it with my mother actually, and she's like, "Why isn't it releasing during the holiday?" But Ryan does bring up a good point. That does kind of somewhat justify it.
I agree, actually.
And after the Wii U disaster, they never wanted to repeat what they did with the Wii U.
Yeah,
and
no one wants that.
Basically, they looked at that and decided, holiday for a console release is actually pretty bad. You want middle of the year or earlier in the year, and then have a lot of your biggest games released for the holiday.
Yeah.
So that way you space it out. So that way also you don't have a shortage because you have the hype of people who want to get it and the hype of people who want to get it for holidays. And separating that into 2 different crowds is very nice.
Yes.
That way parents are competing with the people who are the most dedicated, Nintendo fans. That is nice.
Also, the servers aren't too overwhelmed with people trying to transfer their data over. Anyway, we're going to move on. Next question. Pretty straightforward. So now we're going to get into some of the functions. So what are your thoughts on the game chat and C button functions? What specific function or functions do you find most appealing or useful?
Okay, I have 2 thoughts on this.
All right, go ahead, Luke.
One, the moment I saw that there was going to be video chat and thing, I was like, oh, we are about to have our Discord use and immediately.
Yeah.
And also, just the other thing, all I hope is that it's like basically it runs fast. Like it's a smooth video chat service and it doesn't have too many issues. Because that's usually a problem with Nintendo and the internet.
But yeah, especially since the Switch is being seen as, and I don't just mean like marginally more powerful than the Switch, but from according to the trailer, significantly more powerful. And I think it's even been confirmed by Nvidia.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will also say, and not that this matters too much, but in terms of connectivity, they have established that unlike the Switch 1 dock, the Switch 2 dock will have a LAN port built in.
Oh, yeah, and it also have a cooling fan too.
Yes, but what matters in this case, as far as connectivity to the internet is concerned, the LAN port matters because you can hardwire it to the internet, and that will kind of keep the connection stable. You don't need an adapter to do it.
Yeah, I'm looking for the thing that you said, where we could just have days where we don't plan any game together. We just all screen share whatever game we're playing and just chat like we're all in the lounge again, playing our individual thing. Parallel play, which some people would argue is just like Discord, but I know I don't have multiple screens. So if I play a game, I can just hear y'all. I can't see what y'all are doing while also playing my game. Here, it really is just like all on the same screen, hanging out and talking about everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like it because it, how do I put this? It's gonna allow me hypothetically to be more able to host game night, like more ably ever. Like obviously I'm down to just, you know, get on there and chat with you guys for whatever, but it's like if I'm not in front of my computer and able to host things, I can be just like, oh well, I'm at my parents' house on my Switch, let's make something happen.
Yeah, I guess also additionally, I mean, if the Switch 2 is basically having its own version of Discord, I guess theoretically speaking, I mean, and of course it's also your choice, but with that, do you think that would mean that you can also use, I guess, show your like physical face, like while showing, I guess putting your recording of gameplay?
Yeah, you can show your face on your screen.
Yeah, you can show your face on your screen.
No, I mean like what I'm trying to say is like, obviously yes, you can show your face like on the system, but I guess what I'm trying to say is like, can you do that in addition to, you know, also being able to show it out like on Streamlabs or Elgato? I mean, sorry, not Elgato, OBS.
Yeah, you should be able to do that.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun showing off the different points of view.
Yes, I will show everything. Okay, anyone else want to input that hasn't had a chance to? Brian, have you been able to share your piece?
I think it's fine. I don't use like streaming or any of those things at all, ever.
Yeah,
so
work overtime.
Even on Discord, I don't do streams, and I barely do Twitch.
That's fair. Listen, one point that I brought up when I was doing my reaction, Editor Griffin would actually have an easier time with that, because one of the, like, and again, I don't care either way really, but one of the objective disadvantages to recording our Mario Kart sessions as is that I don't ever have your perspectives on anything. I can take your word for that's going bad, and I can show it if you happen to be next to me. But if you're way off somewhere else on the track, I can't show it. But if we're doing the game chat together and we're all sharing our games, yeah, it may be a smidge choppy if the trailers or anything to go by anyway. But I have something to work with.
No, yeah, that is fair. I mean, that is true.
So
it's like,
that gives me something to work with.
Hey, Griffin just don't want to share his footage with me. I got it anyways.
Anyway, so yeah, I think in terms of that function, I think we can generally agree that we're indifferent at worst and overall positive at best. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one. We kind of already gave our thoughts on the game share function for the most part, but do you have any thoughts on the game share function.
You mean like, yeah, we're talking about the.
Oh yeah, this is slightly. So this is.
Be able to do, right?
Yeah, so it's game share function. We have not talked about this actually. So game share function is that function that allows you to, like, one person has the game and they can share the game with up to 3 other people that are in chat with them.
Thank goodness it's finally.
Essentially, you rent it out like when you give it to a friend, except this time it's on a 2-week time limit, and you always get it back.
No. Like, this is more like this is like a better version of like DS download play, to kind of give a sense of perspective. So the idea is, like, I could get a copy of Mario Kart World, hypothetically, get in a chat with you guys on the Switch, and as long as I have that copy, all of us could play it together.
Even if the rest of us don't have the copy.
That's what.
I love that on DS when you were able to just join a friend's game and you couldn't play the whole game, but you could play the multiplayer with them.
Right.
That was amazing.
But this case, it's not restricted. It's not restricted here. The only limit is the number of people that you can do that with. So, not that. I mean, obviously, we'll get to it when we get to it because we're getting closer. But factoring in what we know about the relative pricing of things, this is going to definitely matter. Because I imagine that people are going to game this system hard when it comes to certain games. Because if we're like the only ones that we play Mario Kart with, it's like I could get it, and then maybe like one other person could buy it, and then we'd be set. So I do like the game share function.
No, yeah. Assuming the internet works well, or I'm assuming that you can share with any Switch 2 system, even that's like far away, right?
I believe the game share function, it can work with the Switch 2 system if it's far away. I'm not sure if you can do online with the Switch 1, because I know some game share functions will kind of transfer over, but I know for the absolute certainty that the Switch 2 will work.
Okay, no, yeah, because that's what I'm asking about the Switch 2.
Yeah.
It's like, not so much the Switch 1, I mean, because the conversation at this point is Switch 2, but anyways.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm looking forward to this, like, content coming to reality.
Yeah. Paige, thoughts on game share?
I think it will help you out, and then I can send weird niche games to y'all to annoy you and be like, play this, play this, play this, play this.
That's true. We could do that.
And is this different from like the game card system?
Yeah, this is entirely separate from that. So there's a digital game card system as well as a game share function.
Neat.
Yeah,
That's
so
actually...
there are that's and I'm not, again, we'll get there when we get there, but yeah, there are multiple ways to where people can totally game the system if they want to. It'd have to take a lot of time and setup, but you could definitely make it work. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. Next question. Concerning the established hardware, what are your thoughts on the Switch 2 in terms of it running in handheld mode? Do you believe that they have improved on its handheld capabilities?
To tell the truth, yeah.
I hope so.
I hope so, but one quick thing that I'm now realizing, I kind of realized it beforehand, but now I'm really thinking about it. They should be adding touchscreen capabilities and a stylus to the Switch more often, because
I think you need more into like the DS and 3DS.
Let Luke finish.
But because like going back to my thing about Wii and Wii U virtual console games, like that's really the main reason why we're not able to get them. We can't touch the screen for the most part. And so yeah, I was hoping that an upgraded Switch would have those features so that we can get not only Wii and Wii U games in, but also DS and 3DS back on, because we haven't gotten those since the original Wii U virtual console. So now, yeah, that's a little bit of a bummer. But other than that, it's basically just the Switch again. Hopefully it'll be better and awesome.
So I will say there is one concern I do have concerning handheld mode, and like it's not really a big deal for me because I've made it very clear that I'm not like a regular user of handheld mode. I more often than not use my Switch in docked mode and pretty much only use it in handheld mode whilst I'm in transit. And when I say transit, I exclusively mean flying, because I can't use the Switch in the car. but that's a me problem. The only genuine problem, and this is just a consequence of the fact that this is a portable system that jobs harder. Going from 720p at 60 FPS to 1080p at 100 at 20 FPS, it doesn't last as long undocked. If you look at the stats for the Switch versus Switch 2, the average Nintendo Switch will run anywhere from 4.5 to 9 hours, depending on the game. But the Switch 2 will only last anywhere from 2 to 6.5 hours.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean,
it makes sense. It makes sense. It's a natural consequence.
So it's much more demanding.
Right. So and again, for me, it's a non-issue, but at the same time, there's always a flight that I take once or twice a year, and that flight's 3 hours, and now it's a total toss-up as to whether or not the Switch will even get me through one flight.
It's like, get your portable chargers ready.
Israel, when do I not have my portable chargers ready? I have my portable chargers ready now.
Oh no, I wasn't like directing this comment specifically towards you, but rather to the public in general.
That's true. All right. Anyone else have any thoughts on the handheld?
So with the handheld thing, the reason I usually use handheld is because I find that on my Switch, I don't know why, ever since I moved, it's been a bit slow on reading my button prompts and doing what I want to do in its docked form, so I usually do it handheld. So I'm hoping that this fixes that problem, so I can actually put it on my TV without delayed button responses.
All right, Israel?
So,
yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything much to say about it, but anyway, concerning question 13, obviously, I hope Joy-Con drift isn't a problem like it was with the Switch one, or heck, even Pro Controller drift has been a problem for me. Like, you know, the joystick?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I have a whole separate thing on the Joy-Cons, so...
I'm wondering how that's going to work.
Aside from the Joy-Cons directly, what are your thoughts generally on handheld mode in terms of its specs? You confident in them?
I mean, yeah, it does look a lot more impressive. I don't remember who said that it is... I don't know if they mentioned that it's up to, like... What was it, like the modern game standards now? But if not, then it is getting a lot closer. Like in game industry standards, that's what I'm looking for.
Right.
Game industry standards. Like if it's not there already, then it is getting pretty close. So, but no, yeah. I mean, but as far as handheld mode, I mean, you already covered it. But I mean, it does look a bit like more durable and more bulky for that matter. But
well, it is.
Yeah. I know, I don't have much to say.
That's all right. That's fine. You are not obligated to answer the question at all. I appreciate any input you're willing and able to give.
What I was going to say, I mean, it's already been said.
That's fair. Ryan?
No, not really. It seems fine. I just know for me, I switched over to Steam Deck for playing a lot of the really intensive games. So I don't really have much of a horse in the race, but it just seems perfectly fine. I have no huge complaints or anything.
All right. So we're going to move on. Similar question next. Concerning the established specs, what are your thoughts on Switch 2 in terms of how it will run when docked? Do you believe you'll be more likely to play it in docked mode versus handheld mode?
Yes.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
I think I accidentally answered this for the last question, so yeah.
That's fine. But yeah, no, I said the same thing. It's like I've usually used it in docked mode. That's not going to change.
Yeah, it's not gonna. I mean, it's hardly gonna change for me too. I mean, I'm still gonna play it docked, and then if I ever do need to go on a trip and I need some entertainment, then yeah, I guess I'm taking the Switch 2 whenever I have it.
My big thing with the docked mode is that the new dock is generally better because it has more ports and a LAN port. More importantly, it has that fan that Israel brought up earlier. Part of the reason that the Switch runs the way it does is because it heats up, but more importantly, it has a limiter built into its system to prevent overheating. And so the fact that they have a fan with the dock means that they recognize, hey, the whole reason we put this limiter here is to prevent overheating. Let's just do what everyone else does to prevent overheating and just install a fan. And so that solves the problem. And so now it's going to be able to run better without having to compromise anything. At least while docked.
I know for me, I actually bought a new back to my Steam Deck specifically to get like a better fan for it and better.
Uh-oh.
Ryan, you okay?
Ryan
You
died.
hang on.
Rest
I think-
in peace.
I think we're losing him.
No.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to mourn the passing of Ryan.
I told you he was fired as
No.
like would kill him one day.
He,
Not actually.
I'm surprised it wasn't 100% orange that killed him.
All right, you're back. We're back. He
Yay!
lives. Sweet Christ.
It managed to lag out that badly.
Okay.
I think that was a full minute of lag.
No,
I
you're
said
okay.
what I said was on my Steam Deck I bought a new back for it that has much better ventilation and that improved performance so much. I'm glad they're doing that with the Switch because like people that make custom backs for better performance improve performance so much because the better heating ventilation is so impactful.
Yeah, I ordered one for my PlayStation 5. I'm waiting for it to come in, so I definitely understand its importance.
Like lowering the heat of the system improves performance and lifespan so significantly. It's not funny. It's amazing just how much of an impact it has. And there's nothing that comes remotely close to improving specs than just doing that.
Yeah. All right, Luke, anything to add?
No, not really.
All right, then. Next question. We only have a few left, so hang in there, guys. Concerning the established hardware, what are your thoughts on the new Joy-Cons? How do you feel concerning their mouse functions? How do you feel concerning the magnet-based connection method as opposed to the current rail-based connection method?
I just hope they function well, honestly. Like, well, for one, they should. I assume the motion controls are going to be better because why would they not be?
Nice.
And the mouse function is an interesting, if largely impractical idea, I think. But I am hoping that the magnets work as intended, especially since I still need to slot into the system. Like they're not just magnetized to it. They have to actually. There's actually like a little port that it connects to it. So, from what I can tell, so hopefully that will work as intended rather than and compared to how it is with the rail system.
I feel like with the Joy-Cons and the magnet system, I feel it's going to be a better method of child-proofing the Joy-Cons in a way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That way it won't. I guess
Sheer,
so it'll be less susceptible to breaking.
well, yeah, it's just sheer physics and magnetism will prevent.
I mean, if it'll break, I mean, yeah, but I mean, as likely as the current Switch method, I would say no.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot less likely. I personally feel, as far as the mouse controls are concerned, that this, and I'm not saying this for certain, this might be the avenue that we need to potentially get 3DS titles or 3DS remakes on.
Oh, good point.
I think that that's what's going to enable it. Because if you think about it, like one like really good example of this is the Jamboree TV. Some of the mini games actively require you to use the mouse to participate, and that is moving reticles to specific positions to like interact with specific targets. So I feel like if certain functions are implemented correctly, you could make it work if they were to kind of not necessarily remake, but at least retrofit 3DS titles to work with respect to the mouse controls. That's my biggest thought on that. I think that may be the potential avenue we could take with that.
With the mouse controllers, you mean?
Yeah.
Because like I have no idea what to think in terms of like an execution. I mean, I guess yeah, you brought up your whole speculation, but I guess this does make the question because from the Wii all the way to Switch, I mean, motion controls have been a thing for games that use them, whether required or optional.
Right.
So, considering the fact that certain Switch games, because supposedly not all of them, but certain Switch games, like Switch 1 games, you can play on your Switch 2, you know, via backwards compatibility and whatnot. So for the games that say that are able to be brought or playable on the Switch 2 that use motion controls, I guess if the Switch 2 Joy-Cons are going to be more mouse-based rather than motion control-based, I guess, how would you be able to play the motion controlled portions of each game?
I imagine you probably could like toggle certain things.
I brought it up earlier, of course, that like hopefully Joy-Con drift isn't a thing anymore, or Pro Controller drift for that matter.
Hopefully not.
Just drifting in general.
Yeah.
Except in Mario.
I for my Switch, I had modded my controller. I paid to have them modded because it was only $10 more than just getting whole new controllers.
That's fair. Ryan?
Did we lose him again?
I'm not sure.
Dearly beloved.
Yeah, we lost him. We straight up lost him.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here
God
today.
Bless. Brian, are you here?
Hallelujah.
Or is that your corpse?
Okay.
It's a mount.
Okay.
Yeah, just started work again immediately.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. So, what are your thoughts on the Joy-Cons?
Mouse function seems interesting. Magnets seems fine. Yeah, just really hope that they fix the problem of needing to constantly buy new controllers because of the constant drift problems. At this point, I do hope that they fix it. I'm so amazed that they didn't fix it for the like Switch Lite. For the one that's literally built into the system, it's amazing that they didn't fix it.
That's inexcusable.
For the entirety of the Switch 1's life.
Yeah, I can't believe it went on that long. Like, so many people needed to buy new controllers because they just kept breaking. And like that's not a Nintendo thing. That's
I mean, well, maybe that's the incentive not to fix it.
Nintendo has failed us.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Maybe
that's always been
that's
always been the thing about Nintendo. So like it's just weird. Like throughout their entire history, like they've had such like reliable hardware, but like this is the one thing that has like almost universally had the consistent problem everywhere. Is it as infamous as the Red Ring of Death on Xbox 360? No, but it's up there.
yeah, not a huge comment. I'm kind of curious if there's going to be like things you can plug in, like if it uses USB-C, if there's going to be like a USB-C GameCube controller, that would be nice. I wonder if you could. I think Wii U had that, but did Switch have that?
So here's the thing: you can plug in wired controllers to Nintendo Switch. It's just usually the cables that they provided for any like wired based functions were not usually that long.
That was the problem.
The problem was the length. It's not so much the functionality. All right.
The one that I got is pretty long.
Right, but did you buy it with the Switch or did you buy it because you knew you were going to use it with the Switch?
Latter, but still, I mean.
Right. So that's kind of my point.
For the wired Pro Controller. Wireless, wireless
is wireless.
Wireless.
All right. Now we're gonna get into the real ones.
All right.
We have 5 questions left that I propose, and now we're gonna get into the.
Yeah, the first one appearing that it actually will involve politics, even though we will not.
Well, and I'm gonna say we're gonna keep the politics to a minimum, but I'm not gonna pretend. I'm not gonna play.
It's physically impossible to talk about this and not bring up politics.
Right. I understand. I understand we can't like exclude things, but like keep it on topic. Don't get into a million other policies that we have problems with. Okay.
Got it.
So, the proposed question here is, what are your thoughts on the retail price of the Nintendo Switch 2? As a reminder, the Switch 2 that comes with a dock, charger, and 2 Joy-Cons costs $450 retail. However, as of today, we were informed this today, not only can we not pre-order it as early as we want to, but but because of Donald Trump's worldwide tariffs, the price is subject to change. It may potentially increase to a higher amount. So I'm going to say this much. Just because we don't know for certain that the price is going to increase. If the price stays as is, at least as far as the Nintendo Switch 2 is concerned, I personally don't feel that $450 is that unreasonable. I do recognize there is a noticeable margin in price difference, but if you really want to put it into perspective on this, okay? PlayStation 5 with disc drive is $500. PlayStation 5 Pro with no disc drive, even potentially an option, $700. Xbox Series S with the disc drive, $500. Xbox Series X with 2 terabytes of memory and disc drive, $600. So it's like, I'm not saying that $450 is cheap, but when you compare them to the prices of like the modern consoles, it is comparatively cheaper. Again, subject to change. As it currently stands, I personally do not feel as though it's unreasonably expensive compared to competing brands.
Well, to start off, first of all, the fact that it's lower than both of its so-and-so competition, which not really a competition, they've entered their own market at this point, but that's just kind of how Nintendo is winning. They're able to keep at least some of the prices down, even though they're getting greedier and greedier by the minute.
We'll get to that other aspect later.
We'll get to that, but also, we warned them. We knew that this was going to happen with all the tariffs coming in, and now I wish Nihil was here for this because he'd laugh at like, but somehow this got China and Japan to unite with each other, and now the video game market is being affected. We are truly in the end times if those two countries, as well as Korea, are working together.
We are truly in the
Yeah,
dark
it is
times.
actually kind of hilarious. It's kind of hilarious. It never gets brought up, but did you know that Japan had their own Holocaust that killed double the people of the Holocaust, and it is never mentioned anywhere in their history books, and they just brush it under the rug.
All right, let's stay on the subject of the price of the Nintendo Switch 2, please.
China, because that is a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, when they worked with Hitler, they killed double the people that Hitler did in the Holocaust in basically China and Korea alone.
What?
Guys,
I mean, this is why China and Korea.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, and it's literally not in their textbooks, and it never gets brought up. It's just
Oh yeah, they don't bring that up. But
all right, let's get back on topic, please. Paige, Ryan, Israel, thoughts on the price of the Switch 2?
it's
Okay.
I just don't like how everything's becoming more expensive. I think it shouldn't at all.
Inflation.
Especially, well, it's not inflation. It's just price gouging. That's what it is at this point. Mostly, it's mostly price gouging.
I do think
but-
450 is a bit high, especially considering the fact that
I think-
Steam
I
Deck
think-
is lower.
All right, I'm sorry.
think
One at a time, please.
I think that all consoles should be a lot cheaper by like at least a few $100. Maybe I was expecting the Switch to be around in the 300s. But I should have known they would be greedier than that. I just think everything is becoming more expensive in the video game industry, despite the fact that it should be like people are like video games and consoles are were just this expensive back in the old days when they first came out. However, they were going to a much more niche market. Now it's a much wider market. They don't need to make it extremely expensive anymore to get back their money.
That's a fair point. I mean, in terms of the whole market thing that you bring up. But I mean, I got things to say. I mean, I'm not going to include the Donald Trump parts just yet. I mean, that'll be later on in my points. But I mean, yeah, I guess Switch 2 prices, I mean, look at it on its own. Yeah, it looks expensive. But I mean, and like, who knows? What if, Nintendo pulls the same move that they did with the 3DS where they eventually lowered? I mean, will that happen? Who knows? But also, I mean, for one, Griffin does make a great point. It is comparable, I mean, comparably cheaper than its other quote-unquote competitors, being the PS5 and then the Xbox Series X and S. But then also, I was going to say, compared to the hardware of the Switch 1, I mean, yeah, it makes more sense. I mean, the price increase.
I mean, am I going to justify it or not? I mean, not really, but I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, you're rationalizing it.
You rationalizing it? Or
No,
wait,
you
what?
are rationalizing it. You're establishing a reason why they chose to do this, even if you
But
do
at
not
that-
think it's justified.
That makes sense.
I just don't think consoles should be getting more and more expensive with each increase.
Yeah, I mean, there are
So each increase, they shouldn't be getting more expensive because then at that point, consoles will just be incredibly overpriced. That only, like, what about
dedicated gamers can get?
Yeah, like a few generations down the line, they'll be the price of every normal gaming PC,
So basically,
which isn't okay. You need to
Yes.
realize that you can increase the quality of something while keeping it the same price, because at that point, why would people get your console?
yeah. And I guess also like to add to the point, because like, let's say even game cartridges and I think consoles also, like, let's say during the SNES, NES, and N64 eras, like they were also pretty expensive. Like say $85, for example, for a game back then. I mean, put that in today's prices, oh boy, that would be over $100. I mean, I don't know the exact price. I bet Editor Griffin could probably put the comparison of like 1990s prices to today's prices, if he were to choose to.
Sure. Why not? Put it on.
Hey guys. Editor Griffin here with a TTS voice. The original retail price of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System when it was released in September of 1991 was $199. That is about $467.25 by today's standards, which is objectively more than the Nintendo Switch 2. Additionally, the retail value of Earthbound, one of the most popular games on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, was $69.95 when it was released in 1995, which is $146.78 by today's standards, which is more than double the retail value of most Nintendo Switch 2 games.
Oh boy.
Because today's games, I mean, yeah, are getting close to those prices. I mean, like just by numbers alone, not inflation. Which I don't know if there's a different question for game prices, but now going to the Donald Trump portion of the question. I mean, obviously, we all share the same opinion about him, but concerning this specific question, is like, really, this was a horrible time to be putting all those tariffs.
I'm hoping it turns all the
It's like,
gamers
not just
into-
Japan specifically, but just worldwide. I mean, yeah, I can bring this up like on a personal level, but regarding video games in general, because seriously, most of the major like video game competitors, like really only one of them truly comes from the US, that being Microsoft. And even then, they don't fully focus on video games. They focus on literally anything else, like their office stuff, like Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, and all that stuff. So yeah, only Microsoft does American made video games, while Japan is focused on the other two, those being Nintendo and Sony. And I'm talking about first party.
Right.
Third party, is of course a different issue.
Right. Well, they're also affected technically.
No, yes. But I'm saying like the biggest ones being first party, because like I said, Microsoft comes from the US, but Sony and Nintendo, those are, well, Japan. And of course, Sony, it doesn't fully do video games, but a lot of its money, I guess lately, supposedly comes from video games. Not just their music.
Right.
Or other, movies they work on. While Nintendo, I guess at this point they are branching out to, like, not just exclusively video games, but their profit basically comes from their video games.
Right.
In that sense, they're acting a bit more like Pokemon, where they've branched out their IPs to make money more than just video games, but they're still like...
But I guess Pokemon did it early on, though.
Pokemon did that very early on, and now other Nintendo systems are like, quite literally, I think it, like, when it released, that's what they did, and it was phenomenal, and I'm surprised it took this long for Nintendo to start doing that with their other franchises, but their IPs are what make them money, and it's good that they're branching out and doing more than just video games to use those IPs, but yeah.
Right, but it's gonna be harder now.
Yeah, and on the price-wise, I do think it's a bit odd how much more it is for a Steam Deck of, like, higher power. Like, the Steam Deck has more power and costs a decent amount less. So I'm kind of
exactly.
So in that sense, I'm kind of iffy on it. It like power-wise, it just doesn't seem like it's there for me for that kind of price. I'm fine with it being that expensive. I'm also fine with games being bumped up to 80. I think that's fine, considering that like I was.
Well,
paying
we'll address the prices of the games in a second. We're just focused on the console right now.
And as for tariffs, I just find it really, really hilarious that we are repeating quite literally the step that started the Great Depression.
Yeah.
We are literally this action right here is what kicked off the Great Depression, and it's funny that Trump is saying we want to get rid of. We're doing this to get rid of tariffs when the chart he's pointing to is trade deficit, which means he actually thinks that the trade deficit is the tariffs they have on us, and he wants them to get rid of it.
Which, by the way, quick, just to get everyone's opinion. Everyone doing okay with the recent stock crashes? Just to get that out there.
I'm aware of this stock
I lost
crash.
5%.
No one really had any bad problems, right? Just want to get.
It's down 5%.
My parents are not booking any trips anytime soon.
It's down 5%. I'm fine. I'm not panicking.
Yeah.
But I also know it's going to fall further, and also that this is the start of the next Great Depression.
Right.
Yep.
All right.
I guess before we move on, and I know it's off topic to the question, but still within the topic of the Donald Trump tariffs. But hey, what are y'all's opinions on him imposing tariffs on that McDonald Island?
Okay, no, we're not doing this right now. We're not doing this right now. It's so stupid.
Okay, you can cut that part out.
We're not doing this. Okay, now let's address the other stinker. The part that is like legitimately on Nintendo and not Donald Trump. What are your thoughts? And let me finish the whole question because it's a doozy. What are your thoughts on the retail price of Mario Kart World? As it currently stands, Mario Kart World costs $80 digitally and $90 for the physical edition. Other games have similar prices. Other games have unconfirmed prices. Would these factors affect the likelihood of you buying them at all?
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. It's criminal.
All right. One at a time. Paige, go.
I'll go.
All right. Okay. Yeah, that's criminal. I'm not going to buy any games until I find them at a secondhand store later down the line when they're at more of a discount, because that is disgusting. The games should not be that expensive when so many more people. This economics 101. The higher the demand, the lower you can put the price. And the lower the demand, the higher you can put the price. Here, it's just they keep raising the price over and over. How much longer until we see $100 be the normal game standard? Because every other company is going to follow Nintendo on this. They're going to be like, all games are now $80, and people just can't afford that anymore. Games were expensive enough at $60, and that's where they should have stayed.
All right, Luke.
Okay, just to clarify a couple points here. So. I believe I could be wrong on this a little bit, but I believe that the $90 physical was actually an error. It's actually they're both gonna be 80, but the 90 was actually was what it's gonna cost in euros, which is basically the same thing. And also, just another point, they have announced that most of the games are going to be $70, which is still $10 too much. But like Donkey Kong Bonanza, for example, they have confirmed that will be $70. It seems to mostly just be a Mario Kart World problem that is $80. But still, again, going off of Paige's thing, they should not be $80. They should just be a regular $60. And yeah, I've also got a major backlog of regular Switch games on my current Switch 1, so.
Exactly.
And I waited like 4 years to get the Switch 1, so I can wait a little bit more just to not only get through my backlog, buy some more Switch games that are gonna now be at even lower prices, thank the Lord. But yeah, I am patient. I will be able to at least have a decent amount to be able to work with entertainment-wise for the next few years.
Ryan?
I'm fine with it. I was paying $60 when I started buying video games when I was 5, and now I'm like mid-20s.
Yeah, no, I think they're ridiculously overpriced, especially now. People are struggling to buy groceries. Your gaming is not.
In that sense, in that sense, I do think like accounting for real price, I think it's a fine amount, but in the sense of everyone is struggling financially, which is a much bigger issue, specifically in America, entirely our own fault.
Well,
But I still don't think it should be that
Our
price.
fault.
It should stay 60. They were making plenty of money with that. This is just pure greed. It's not for any other purpose. It's just greed.
I mean, I think it's fine just because accounting for real price, it is still a lower price than what $60 got me back when I was 5 years old. So I am fine with it.
I
All
will
right.
never be.
90 is too much, but like 70, 80 I'm fine with. And especially
That's
like
only
if they
10,
charge,
20 bucks.
well,
and especially if they're doing what is it?
But that's the thing, Ryan. It's going to be 90. This is just a stepping stone. If you allow
Yes.
them to do 80,
You
they'll
mean
raise
like
the
how
price
with
over and
the-
over.
the
You
Legend
have
of
to
Zelda,
draw a line at 60.
Tears of the Kingdom was a stepping stone.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yes,
it
it was.
absolutely was.
Absolutely
now
was.
I'm surprised that they immediately stepped to 80, but I am.
Yeah, they're not even giving any breathing room. It took how many years to go
Not
from
even
the
two.
60 to 70?
like,
Like,
70,
yeah,
89,
exactly. How many
2.
years did 60 to this one?
Okay, so
how long is it 60?
1995?
Yeah, it wasn't even there was no breathing room between the things. I would maybe think you had a point if it was inflation 20 years down the line, but that's not what's happening here. This is just pure greed.
So I'm gonna make this point, and I want to be clear. I'm not defending their choice. I'm not justifying their choice. However, I am gonna play devil's advocate because there are two things you need to factor in. I'm not
confess your
saying.
sins.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not saying they did, because I'm not saying this is the reason why. But they have introduced two avenues for you to game the system. And that is the digital game cards and also the game sharing mechanic. As I mentioned earlier, with like Mario Kart World, as far as like our purposes of playing game night, how many of us have to actually purchase the game in order for all of us to play it? Like one or two of us, right?
Well, assuming we all join a family plan.
Yeah. Well, no.
We're in Eric's family plan.
No.
Yeah, well,
this
we
is
are,
like-
but no. As far as game sharing is concerned, you don't need to be in a family plan. You just need to have Nintendo Switch Online. That's all
Wait,
you
you
need.
do? I thought it needed to be a family plan.
I don't know. Well, no. The game, like the digital game cards, yes. But the game sharing, I don't think you need to be in a family plan. I think you just need
Hold
to
up. I'm gonna
have
look that
Switch
one
Online.
up real quick.
Yeah, please confirm. But I'm pretty sure you just need to have Switch Online, just be friends with these people. So, if the system is gamed correctly, it's like there are ways to get around it, at the very least. And I'm not saying that they factored that in, but if they did, that could at least establish a rationale for their decision. Again, I'm not justifying it or defending it, but I'm at least pointing out a potential rationale for their decision. It's like there are now ways to where you don't necessarily need to get a copy of the game for every person that wants to play it. So it could explain why they chose to make that decision. Not defending or justifying it, just potential rationale.
Because as you told me earlier, right?
Now, as far as whether or not I will actually buy these games, case by case basis. So, like with Mario Kart World, it's like if the tariffs don't affect the bundle price too badly, I probably will get the bundle with Mario Kart World because the overall value of that bundle will be lower than the two individual items together. And if I'm correct about the whole game sharing mechanic, I can get it, and then 3 of you can play it with me. We're good there. Well, assuming you also get Switch 2s, but, you know, one hurdle at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Israel, did you have anything to add to this question?
Okay, let's see. I mean, yeah, I do get, I mean, all the sentiments, and I mean, even comparing to like in inflation, I mean, yeah, like Paige said, I mean, yeah, this is price gouging, and especially considering like what, like that literally in this last generation of games, I mean, we were at $60. The exaggeration of the price hike, I mean, yeah, price gouging. I mean, but if it was like, say, capped at $70, I mean, I guess that technically would still be price gouging, but I mean, inflation, I mean, probably would be, I mean, I guess it would be easier to use the word inflation here than if the $80 to $90 exaggeration.
It may have to be case by case.
Regarding Mario Kart World, I mean, of course, we've only seen a specific part of the game, and supposedly, I think we're gonna have a dedicated direct to this later on in the year.
Yeah, later on in the month.
Like, or in the month, okay. So I guess with that said, as like, I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna justify this, but Nintendo's like, with that direct, with the Mario Kart World dedicated directs, like, I guess show us the reason why you're rationalizing the $80 to $90 worth of content.
They're not gonna do that. They didn't even tell us the price in the direct. They announced it. They didn't tell the price of anything during the direct.
I don't even remember them saying the date during the direct, unless I missed.
Well,
I think they showed it for like June or July, I think.
Well, it's coming with the bundles come with the game. If you get the bundle with the game, so yeah, it's gonna come out June 5th.
And I think Mario Kart World's supposed to be a launch title, right?
Yeah, it's a launch title.
It's bundled with the console too.
Yeah, you can get it bundled with the console with the game installed with it. So yeah, it's that's the first like major launch title of the Nintendo Switch 2.
No, yeah, but I guess also considering that other games, well, yeah, you said that other games may have similar prices or be varied, but supposedly the cheapest games are supposed to be like at around $70. Like, nah. No, yeah, it's too much.
Frankly,
I mean, and I get that cartridges, I mean, regardless of the size, I mean, I get, yeah, regardless, I mean, they're probably going to be more expensive than discs. I mean, even considering how much memory you can put in them. I mean, I still feel like this, I mean, it is an exaggeration.
I would be more fine with it if they were willing to price more games lower than $60. Like, if they had a good selection of $30 games and even release some more $20 games, I'd be a lot more fine with, like, their biggest releases being more than $60.
That's fair. And again, we don't know the price of everything. I'm reasonably able to assume that a lot of the third-party stuff that's going to be on the Switch is going to be cheaper. I think it's safe to say, like, you know, Hades 2 is coming on the Switch. That's probably going to be $30 because Hades 2 on Steam's $30. It doesn't make sense for it to be an absurd thing.
That's specifically indie games.
But that's an indie game.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Nintendo makes more games.
Right, I agree with that.
Yeah, like, I would be a lot more reasonable to say I'm willing to pay more than $60 for, like, a Breath of the Wild tier game if a lot of in-between releases are a lot less.
Yeah. Or, you know, you could do, like, bundles of, like, classic games together, like a classic collection of a certain monster collecting franchise. Hint, hint.
I mean, personally, I'm still really, really hoping that they actually start putting some of their legacy games on mobile for once.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
Heck,
or PC.
I had this idea a decade ago, but I've wanted Nintendo to just make a phone and, like,
make a phone.
Able,
no, please.
I don't. No, I'm not.
I wanted.
If
my 3DS had a call function, like a phone, that would be great.
Oh man.
Okay, let Ryan talk out before we,
Okay.
share our opinions.
All right, anything else?
Like all I wanted was like if my 3DS had like a phone number and I could call on it, and
Can't find
still had
concrete answers.
every other function of just being a normal 3DS. That would be great for me. That's
Okay.
all I kind of wanted.
Sounds good.
And literally nothing else changed.
I knew that I have a friend who emulates Pokemon Emerald on their Samsung.
Yeah, I also have I can also emulate a Pokemon Emerald on like a game. I have a Game Boy emulator on mine, and I specifically like modded it on my computer, uploaded it to Google Drive, my personal Google Drive.
Nice.
Yeah.
But also,
Good question.
we just need more PC, well, like more accessibility to retro games in general.
What was the question? I missed it while
Mobile,
reading.
PC, whatever. It can't just be double subscription on Nintendo Switch Online.
Well, you don't need a double subscription. You just it's this. You just need to have it on the same Nintendo account.
Well, yes, but you also had to pay extra to play certain games. In this case, namely 64, Game Boy, TV8.
Oh no. Okay, I see what you mean. All right, we're gonna move on to the next question. Paige, we were still technically on the same question concerning the price of games. Okay, so this is similar in nature, but I did promise that we were gonna address this. What are your thoughts on the upgrade pack versus like the Nintendo Switch 2 edition dichotomy? Now,
Like when it comes to Nintendo Switch 1 games, you mean, or
Yeah.
so some
Like,
games, so some
sorry,
games you have the ability to upgrade your current copy to run as if it were the Nintendo Switch 2 edition for like $20. So like, and this is something I kind of brought up earlier, like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I did not want to have to pay full price to get those games again for the Nintendo Switch 2 so that they run better. But I don't mind spending just a little bit of money, like a third of the price, just to boost it up if I really want to. It's better. It's better than paying full price again. I guess that's my point.
It should have been free, the upgrade. You shouldn't have to pay.
I
like,
agree.
Jamboree TV, sure, I can see that one. To get better graphics and stuff for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, no, that should be free, because that would make Tears of the Kingdom $90.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. Like, they are doing that with certain games. Like I mentioned earlier with Scarlet and Violet. Like, that is going to be free.
Right.
But
Okay.
they should do... If they're
Breath
gonna
of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom should have also been free.
That's what I'm getting at, though. Like,
Yeah.
in terms of, like, if they need to justify these extra price hikes if they're going to have Switch 2 editions, which, in the case of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, it's just the app that they're doing, so I don't think that's really justified. But in terms of, like, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, that is completely justified because that's an entire...
exactly.
That's new
the whole
content.
DLC.
There's new content.
Exactly.
Yeah, DLC, and I think that's great, and that's definitely worth the purchase for the upgrade.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate one more time here, because there was one thing that I got confirmed today. Another way for you to kind of work around it. So apparently, if you get like the Nintendo Online plus the expansion pack, like not only do you get access to the classic stuff, but you also get free access to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition upgrade packs.
Ooh, okay.
So
Yeah, so essentially the purchase is if you don't want to buy Nintendo Switch Online, and they did kind of overprice their DLCs with the intention of just having people get DLCs through Nintendo Switch Online.
right. So it's really a case by case thing, but I really think that the like Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack is going to allow you to game some of the issues. Now, that may be what they wanted in the first place. Who knows? But
not enough games do that. Like,
Right.
Participate in.
well, that's the thing. Not enough games do that right now. But consider in the future. Let's just say, because we don't know the exact price. Okay, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Legend ZA. We know there's going to be a Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 edition. Okay, let's say for the sake of argument, Nintendo Switch 1 edition 60, Nintendo Switch 2 edition is 70. Technically, it would be more cost effective if you already had the expansion pack to just get the Nintendo Switch 1 edition and then get the upgrade for free, or rather at no additional cost. Does that make sense? So Yeah, it like for the opening act of the Nintendo Switch 2, yeah, I agree. It does not justify it. But if they continue to maintain this dichotomy to where they're going to keep releasing more stuff for the Switch 1, but then also Switch 2 edition stuff, it may work out in the long run just because you don't have to pay for the upgrades, or at least not pay more for the upgrades. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, and again, not justifying this, but again, there are ways to circumvent the problems. You just have to pay for something else, but it also gets you a lot of legacy stuff. Any other thoughts to add on the upgrade pad versus Nintendo Switch 2 edition dichotomy?
Well, I can go into a long and winding rant about updating and making them readily available without having to resort to this, but that is a topic for another day.
Okay. So if we're all good, we're gonna move on. So we have 2 more questions. We're almost done, folks. Really simple question. Given all that we have discussed so far, do you intend to buy / pre-order a Nintendo Switch 2 for the release date?
No.
No.
I'm still on the fence.
Join.
I'm gonna say, in my case, it's gonna depend on how the tariffs affect the price. Because my justification is one.
You make content for YouTube.
Well, that's not the reason. Okay, the reason is because the Switch 2 comes up 9 days before my birthday. Like that's my main reason. It's like I want to get something nice for myself.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah, honestly, I might be. I'm tempted.
True. I mean, and not much further from my birthday as well, but
Christmas.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. Assuming we get a price drop, hopefully.
Right, and so that's gonna be it. So like if it like
3DS, lol.
Yeah, so if we go from like 450 to 500 just because of the tariffs, no, I'm not that stupid. I'm not gonna do that. But if it stays where it is right now, and yeah, I can get the like bundle that gets me Mario Kart World at a lower price than normal. Yeah, I'll do it. Get myself something nice for the birthday, and then we could do the content later.
You know, funny how it also comes like shortly before my birthday. I mean, or not much longer.
It's a week before. Well,
a week after.
Yeah, it's a week after. Yeah, because for some reason I'm a week older than you. Our existence is weird.
Wait, how?
Yeah.
Did he graduate before us?
Yes.
What happened there?
I was in
June 14th or June 21st.
I was in pre-K for an extra year.
Okay. You were born in 97 or 98?
97.
Okay, yeah, you're a year and 4 days older than me too.
Yeah.
Wait, Israel, when were you born?
1997, June 21st.
Yeah, like literally he was born a week after I was.
Oh, so you were like the youngest person in your grade, Israel.
One of.
And that's what my parents were trying to avoid.
Yeah, same here.
Anyway.
You wanted to be the oldest?
Yeah. Well, they didn't want me to be the last guy to last guy to get a car, last guy to get just like everything. It's just.
I see.
It's like now I'm the first one.
And also from a psychological and developmental standpoint, I mean, generally it is better to be one of the older students in your class, well, within your age group.
I was. I'm October 1st.
All right. So last.
But I mean, sorry. Going back to the point of the recording, I mean, yeah, price for one, but also personal stuff going on. But I mean, the internet doesn't need to know about that, at least not from your end.
All right. Fine. Keep your secrets.
I mean, I can tell you personally.
Care. Israel, I don't care. I care because you're my friend, but I don't care enough to pry for you. You are free to tell as much or as little as you want. Okay. Last one, and again, it's pretty simple. And then we're gonna move on to the last section, which hopefully should not take too long.
My section.
Yes.
What?
Well, again, so let me get my last one. Assuming the likelihood that the prices and relative functionality of the Nintendo Switch 2 games moving forward will be priced and function as described by Nintendo, do you plan to purchase any Nintendo Switch 2 games or even the upgrade pack for certain Nintendo Switch 1 games.
What? Can you
Well,
repeat that?
no, again.
Yeah, I overworded that. Basically, are you gonna get like the Nintendo Switch 2 edition games for anything?
I'm going to see the price drops.
Kirby,
It'll be a
that's it.
case-by-case basis
Nothing
if I
else.
get the Switch 2.
Like the physical games, like the actual full releases of them.
The $20 upgrade, the $20 upgrade to make it a Switch 2 version. Instead,
Not
like,
immediately. I'm going to see
Yeah.
how prices drop and how they change as time goes on first.
Yeah, I
That's
might
fair.
consider pulling a page here, like what you wanted to do with the PS5 thing before you.
at the moment, what I believe what they've said is that you can just play outright your Switch 1 game on Switch 2, but if you want to upgrade it so it runs like a Switch 2, it's $20 for the upgrade. And if you have NSO, you have it for free as long as you have NSO. Same as like what they did with Octo Expansion, where if you have the DLC, you get the DLC as long as you have Nintendo Switch Online.
Well, plus the expansion pack. I will say just one thing that kind of came out because I know there was some like confusion about the game cards. As far as like the Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards are concerned, they have stated that Nintendo Switch 2 games are going to be kind of a case by case basis. So some Nintendo Switch 2 games will have like all the game data on it. Like straight up physical media functions as the normal Switch 1 cards did. Others won't. So it's a case by case basis. I personally would like to have faith that they will realize, oh, people are not buying the physical editions because of this whole key card where they have to download things from the internet and most of the data is not on the actual card itself. So hopefully they'll catch on and just get rid of that. And it may just be like for incredibly small things too. We just need to kind of look out for it, and it'll be on the box. It'll make it clear as to whether or not it's a game card or a game key card. So we'll just need to take a look. But my situation is case by case. I probably will not be as opportunistic to buy new Nintendo Switch games from Nintendo Switch 2 as I may be. But again, we'll see, case by case. Now we're gonna move on to the last segment here. This is called the open question. What?
Actually, I was gonna say, can I guess add before we get to that section?
Okay.
I mean, yeah, Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, eventually, I mean, I would like to get one. As far as Switch 2 games, I mean, yeah, same thing, and even also situational based on the prices of the games alone, or in the case of, DK, I mean, or other games, if I'm a super fan of the games or the series franchise. Nintendo Switch 1, I would say even more situational.
Thank you very much, Israel. We're going to move on to our last segment here. So this is the open question section. So just because we are running pretty late, we're 3 hours into this, we're going to keep it in my original parameters. I know you have a lot of questions, Paige, and I love you for that.
It's not all questions. Some of them are just comments.
All
Most of
right.
them are just comments.
Yeah,
So here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, everyone is allowed to ask one question. You may pose the question to either the group as a whole, or you can pose it to one specific individual if you want, with the understanding that nobody is obligated to answer any question.
Okay, this is not my question, but
All right.
can I actually ask a question for clarification?
Okay, sure. Israel, what is
No,
your...
this is your question.
This is
one
your
question.
one question.
Come on.
Okay, no, go ahead. Okay, to clarify the rules. What is your question?
Okay, so you said like for a group or individual person, can the question be only be asked to like us, or can it also be asked to like your internet audience?
Let's keep it between the group because I'm trying to get questions answered now.
Fair enough.
You can ask in the comments.
Yeah, if you want to post questions in the comments, do so. Also, like
Get in the
comments.
comments.
Get in the comments.
Don't say anything too bad.
Oh, Luke, you know they will.
Yeah, I know. I'm sensing them.
No. Anyway, Paige, would you like to pose a question?
It's not a question. It's my thoughts on most of the the games that were in the March 27th Direct. I wrote down my thoughts on some of them, most of them.
All right.
Okay.
Let's save that for later. Okay.
Yeah. I guess I do have one question, something that we didn't even talk about that was a huge part of the March 27th Direct, and I just want people's thoughts on it.
Okay.
Tomodachi Life 2. How are we feeling about that?
Oh, Tomodachi Life 2.
I'm surprised they made that the last announcement. I know people. It's just such a weird game to me.
Well, it has a huge following, and I remember it was hugely popular, and I hope that they made it gay this time, because that was the biggest controversy about it, that there was no gay relationships in the original Tomodachi Life, so you couldn't actually make all your friends if some of them weren't straight, because they would just start falling in love with other people. It's like, they would not do that. So, because they did, however, no, but they did with Miitopia. In the Miitopia game, your party members of the same sex would still fall in love. And you make it sound like there aren't a lot of gay relationships in Japanese media. There are definitely
There are a lot.
But Miitopia, they did do it with Miitopia. No, and they said that if they did this again, they would add it. So I'm hoping they kept to their promise and followed in Miitopia's footsteps and actually did that.
Also, like, you say, like, oh, they wouldn't do this. Like, do you have any idea how much hentai games there are on the on the Switch eShop?
Okay,
on the
one, Japan, not to get too political again, but Japan is still a very homophobic country. Most of the country does not approve of it. And two, when they do show it in Yaoi and Europe, it is usually some kind of weird fetish going on.
There's still a lot of amazing stories about that in anime though.
Stories there. Again, 20%, not
even in their
100%,
children's media, Sailor Moon, Cardcaptor Sakura, they have both of those.
All right, let's
not all of it, but again, not Nintendo will still not go there. They are.
I think they're
very similar to like Disney per se when it comes to gay
like I said, they already did that. They did it in Miitopia already.
We'll see what happens.
That's why it was rated
and
in
Russia.
They had it.
And Mario RPG and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
Luke, Miitopia is rated. Miitopia is rated M in Russia because of the gay relationships. They will do it. They've done it before, and they can do it.
Why are we factoring in Russia? Anyway,
I just want to point out just how much gay is in there.
All right. Well, as far as my thoughts on Tomodachi Life 2, I'm somewhat excited about it. That's whether or not I get that's going to be purely like the product of demand. Like, if you guys really want to see me make Tomodachi Life 2 content, like, I'll do it. But like, but it's like unless I'm explicitly asked to do it, it's like I'm probably not going to.
Put me in it.
You think I won't put you in it?
You put us in all the other
I'll put you all in everything.
If this was your decision, is like, I'm not gonna ask you to get it, but I'm also not gonna not watch you if you decide to stream it.
All right. Ryan, what's your thoughts on Tomodachi Life 2?
No strong opinions. Seems fine.
That is a valid answer. Okay, I think that covers Paige's question. Again, Paige, I will give you the avenue to give your comments. I just want to be sure everyone gets their chance to ask their questions first, okay? Luke, do you have a question that you would like to ask either the group or an individual?
Well, I kind of mentioned my question earlier about Wii and Wii U games on the Virtual Console / NSO, but I guess I'll segue that into a comment, which Nintendo should invest in PC gaming at this point. They've been in mobile games, the mobile sphere. They should. I know they aren't.
Let him speak his piece.
I know they aren't, but they should. Again, they've been in mobile gaming for the past decade now with Pokemon Go and whatnot, ever since Pokemon Go. And really, it's just becomes... I've just been thinking about it ever since the GameCube thing got announced. Again, great, but video games are the hardest media to preserve, period. Like, and it's not even just lack of trying, which, again, they don't even try, but it is just about the hard... Like, with a book or a movie, all you have to do is just preserve the actual thing, but with a game, you not only have to preserve the games, but sometimes you have to preserve, like, internet connectivity and stuff like that. And it's just... it's really sad to think about all the media that we've lost because of, in large part because of that. And Nintendo is not the sole reason that it's not happening, but they are a big part of the problem, especially with how cloistered and exclusionary they are towards their IP.
They're very Disney Vault-esque with this, right?
Yes, it's even worse than the Disney Vault though, because at least the Disney has Disney Plus now to make things a lot more smoother. And
But they still haven't put everything over.
Like House of
still haven't
Mouse.
put everything over, but
Yeah, like House of Mouse.
But everything is at least accessible. And again, Disney makes movies. You can, even if not everything is on Disney Plus, you can still at least find them for rent online or for DVDs and stuff. For Nintendo, it's just with Nintendo and with a lot of video games, it's just not possible. So
It's like
I
honestly,
honestly think we should just put more games onto PC, allow everybody to search them, and getting back to the Switch 2 edition thing. If you want to upgrade the games, you can just have the source code there to be able to update them over time on a PC without having to make an entirely new hardware. Because the first thing I thought about when the Switch 2 edition thing was announced, like, imagine having to buy a whole new console just to get DLC.
That's fair.
We don't have to do that. Yeah.
That's fair.
I could probably make an entire video on that, but I don't have a YouTube channel as big as you guys quite yet, so
Like,
maybe I'll
I
say
would
that.
not call mine big at all.
I'm on my way to
Yeah.
500 subscribers. I'm still tiny.
Yeah, I know. But I only have a
Well, one of the things
Griffin being at over 1K, I mean, it's still not big enough.
One of the things about this, of all the companies that have exclusives, I think Nintendo's the most justified because they really go all in with their gimmicks. Unlike other consoles, it really is, most things there you really could just put on PC, but with Nintendo, a lot of their games would be harder to port over. I know there's one game on the DS that I don't think has ever been successfully ported over to PC because one of the mechanics you have to do is close the DS to actually progress the game. It's part of it, and because they can't emulate that in on the PC, that game can't be brought over. And that's one of the things about Nintendo. Their gimmicks and their games are very tied to the console they're in, which
that is true. But I also say, like, Sony has been investing in PC gaming, which I want.
Yeah, but they don't go in with the gimmicks.
Unfathomable. But again, they should also control. Video game controllers can connect to your PC. Like, I can walk over to my Switch controller right now and plug it in, and I can play a Xbox 360 game using a Switch controller.
So you think they should be games that rely on gimmicks? The company should be selling accessories for PC to do them instead. Which that's interesting. That'd be an interesting avenue to go down.
At least make it in a way that it can at least be accessible through the PC.
Yeah, but like I said, there's some gimmicks they want to do. Like, how would you emulate physically closing something on the PC?
Use
I mean,
a different
Imagine getting to be on sleep mode.
Yeah, but that's not as immersive. But I did stumble into an interesting thing, selling accessories purely for the PC from these companies, which is something they can do down the line when they no longer do
I think that would make streaming a
consoles.
bit more tricky, right? We'll make it trickier, right?
Yeah. Well, also, Paige, you touched on another interesting point. Emulation. Nintendo is sitting on a literal gold mine with all their properties, and they do jack with it because when they could easily put it on PC and make a boatload of money out of a software. But
I'm just worried about.
It is actually for mobile. Like, Game Boy games on mobile, it's a match made in heaven. They fit in so naturally.
Yeah. Again, but they're just so worried about freaking mods of all things that they will refuse to do it. Like, nobody gives a shit about mods. No one is getting harmed because of mods. Okay?
All right, let's continue on because I feel like we're gonna go deeper down this whole.
I mean, I absolutely support emulation. It's just I know with Nintendo's games and the way they do things, I think making things purely for the PC to make thinking about how they work on the PC would severely hinder some of their creativity.
Yes, but again, at least for the games that can easily be translated to people.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
They should at least entertain the idea. I agree. All right, let's move on.
It could be like an inferior version.
Let's not go there. Ryan, do you have a question that you'd like to ask anyone?
Let's see. I do think it was a good direct, especially in terms of games. I do think all the stuff has potential. I suppose other than that, nothing too specific, but I guess more on the topic of Nintendo not taking advantage of stuff. I've really, really wished for them to put Voltorb Flip as just like a mini game on mobile.
Mother hacker, yes!
What's Voltorb Flip?
Voltorb Flip is like it's the mini game that they have in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver that they had in place of actual gambling because they couldn't have gambling anymore.
Once I decided to just like take out my DS and just instead of bringing out a game console on like a trip, I brought out that and just went into Pokemon and played Voltorb Flip, and I played it for the entire ride over and didn't even notice. And at that point, I was like, "Dear Lord, this needs to be on mobile. This would make so much money as a mobile game. It's so good."
Yeah.
Come on, Nintendo. If you don't want us to gamble, let's do the next best thing. Semi-gambling. All right.
Gambling without giving any money.
Yeah. All right, Israel. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask anyone?
Okay. Is there any game, franchise, or series that you would like to be brought back on the Switch 2? Whether, as a Switch 2 game or, I guess, part of the Nintendo Switch Online?
I would say, pretty much just, continue to invest in new, old IPs and, revitalize them. Donkey Kong Bonanza is a really good example. Just taking that old IP and being able to give it such new life. And also Metroid Prime 4, even when you think about it. But dream...
I guess I'm talking about, ones that haven't been already announced.
Yeah. I do have that, actually. My dream game, ever since I found out that this is what was the original plan before Sakurai decided to change direction, a Star Fox game in the style of Kid Icarus Uprising, because it was originally going to be a Star Fox game before Sakurai said, you know what, Pit is awesome. I got Pit famous, why don't I make him famous again? So,
I want a sequel to that.
I need a sequel.
I had so much fun with it when I played it back in high school. It was amazing.
Wait, what? Star Fox or Kid Icarus?
Kid Icarus.
Kid Icarus.
Oh yeah. Well, they just need to find a way to bring it to Switch.
Which again, 3DS games and getting to new consoles.
That's what I'm telling you. The mouse is the key. That's what's gonna get it on there. And when we're sitting there with Kid Icarus HD on Switch, you're gonna be like, "Mother hecker, Griffin was right. He called it."
Well, I mean, you can also just hold the controller and do the two joysticks. But besides that,
all right. Israel's question. I want them to put Rune Factory 1 and 2.
Mother.
And Tides.
I guess I didn't limit it to first party.
And Frontier on there. And Story of Seasons 1, but mostly Trio of Towns because the DLC to that game is on 3DS, and now that the 3DS store is down, you can't get the DLC for it anymore. So I want to see them port those over, especially Rune Factory 1 and 2. They're expensive. I have them, but they're expensive. And people need to play more Rune Factory. I mean, they've already made special editions for 3 and 4. They released 5. Guardians of Ozma is coming out. Why not do the first 2? Actually, the first 4 games. Well, not the first 4, but the other 4 games. And let's see. Early Mega 10 games, going back to Raido, wanting to get all the Shin Megami Tenseis over. Personas. What else do I want over? That's all I can think of at the current moment. I'm sure I'll kick myself later.
My answer to that question is they need to Square Enix needs to backpedal on the approach that they did with the Kingdom Hearts games, where they like you get access to them, but it's you like connecting online with like their internal server to
get rid of the iCloud.
Yeah, like
the
cloud play. It's just like the Switch can run better now. It's a lot easier to optimize Kingdom Hearts for the Switch. Just
wait, which one or Switch 2?
Switch 2.
Switch 2. Let it run on the Switch 2. Just let it run normally on the Switch 2.
I mean, they're bringing, what is it, Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Right, exactly. If Final Fantasy VII Remake can run fine on the Switch 2, then so can Kingdom Hearts. So they need to backpedal on their approach, and they need to just allow us to play Kingdom Hearts normally. Not with this cloud service.
Or okay, I guess not regular. I guess the main series Kingdom Hearts, right, and not the spin-offs, right?
Don't get me started.
There is no spin-offs. There are no spin-offs in Kingdom Hearts.
No, I'm talking about, like, for example, like the musical game.
That's not a spin-off.
Not
it's a main series game.
It's relative to. It's relevant to the plot.
Yeah, plot. Yeah, there's no spin-offs. I think there's only one spin-off, and that's the board game Talisman Kingdom Hearts flavored. I don't think there's any story beats in that. But all the mobile games are story relevant. Yep. Everything that's not numbered is relevant. The music game is relevant. There's all part of the overarching story. Yeah. Even the mobile games is real. Even the mobile games.
The closest thing to an irrelevant Kingdom Hearts game is Recoded. But even then, I can't sit here and tell you that absolutely no contribution to the plot happened. Just not a lot. But yeah, that's what they need to do. They need to go back and rework the naivete. Now,
spin-off games.
And also just make 358 Days Over 2 playable again.
Well, that's never gonna happen.
Hey, I'm doing that now.
PS games properly playable, please.
It's insane they didn't put Luxor in Rechain of Memories. He's all about cards. What the
again, we've talked about this page. There's a reason.
I know, it's just ridiculous.
Anyway, Ryan, do you have an answer for Israel's question?
Ike's games was what I was waiting for the longest, and also the Pokemon GameCube games.
Yeah.
It's taking way too long for those to come out, and I'm so happy
for those to come back.
Chibi Robo, that's my other option.
I so want a sequel to Kid Icarus. Dear Lord, that game was amazing. The humor was amazing, and all of the like the characters they added became instant fan favorites. They redefined Pit's personality, and everyone loves how quirky the new Pit is.
Hades is the best character in the game.
Yep. I so want a sequel. And Dark Pit is just so much fun because instead of being evil, over the top Pit, he takes the fun and bubbly character and just acts like an antisocial lone wolf who's bad at making friends.
Yeah.
And instead of joining the villain's team, he immediately punches the villain in the face because how dare you try and make me join your team? I want to just be alone.
All great questions. Now, I do have one question that came up. Listen, this won't take a long page, I promise you. So there was one question that kind of got in the back of my mind while we were going for this, and it's specifically for Israel.
Oh, boy.
I just need to confirm here.
You're not going to ask the editor question, are you?
No.
Okay, good.
What I was going to ask is someone in your server confirmed they were your editor. Is that the case?
Wait, are you really going for that?
You tell me, are they?
I'm sorry, what?
Someone in your server claimed to be your editor. Is that the case?
In my server? Hold
yes.
Let me check.
It's a yes or no question.
Do you have an editor that isn't manageable?
Yeah, it's like, is that why you have denounced the manager mole? It's because you actually have an editor?
Oh, okay, look at the date. It says April 1st, 2025.
So?
You really think it's legit?
April 1st.
Okay, so you were...
It was.
Okay, well, since that's the case, yeah, who the f***'s your editor, Israel?
Manager Mole.
The moment he's just named Minor Mole.
No,
Will I
Manager
reveal
Mole.
the name eventually? We'll see.
It's Manager Mole. You son of a.
Okay, get me move on from this.
I thought you were going to try to keep it within the spirit of the recording.
When did I say that?
I thought it was implied.
It was implied at best. It was never stated. I simply said ask any question to the group or an individual. Most of you didn't even ask a question.
Okay, Paige, go with your thing.
Tomodachi Live? Okay, hello.
All right.
Welcome to my segment, everybody. All right.
Buckle up,
Okay,
mother heckers.
All right. So, Saga Frontier 2. The cool thing about this is that they're bringing in a mini game called Dig Dig Digger that was only available on the Pocket Station in Japan. So this is the first time the West is going to be able to get that mini game over here. All right. I already talked about Rido. Shadow Labyrinth. It's actually has connections to a secret level episode on Amazon, that video game series they have on there that goes over storylines. And in secret level, their Pac-Man episode is a horror episode. So those two things are related. The episode is called Circle. And the game looks very interesting to me. It gives me As Libra vibes. It looks a lot like Last Libra to the point I actually looked up to see if they had the common developer. They do not. But it just looks very similar. Patapon 1, 2, that's interesting. Those were on the PSP and then got ported over to the PS4, so this is like their Nintendo debut. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. The remake of the DS game. I like how they're bringing over more of those old Harvest Moon games. I love the paragliding through town. Luke, how did you not know that marriage was a key part of farming simulators?
Because I don't play any farming simulators.
Okay, almost every single farming simulator has marriage, romance and marriage, and dates.
Alright.
The Disney Villains Curse Cafe. All I wrote down here was ... what? Question mark.
I got major Monster Prom vibes from that.
I did not at all. I think it will be rated E, whereas Monster Prom is not rated E.
Oh, well, I didn't mean like in terms of the crass language. I just meant like in terms of like the myriad of scenarios that can play out depending on like who you interact with and out. Like that's what I meant.
Yeah,
in terms of gameplay, not in terms of the writing. I'm not gonna pretend
yesterday
that
we were talking about strippers.
No. It's like.
But yeah, I was very interested. I was going when they announced that. I was going over like all the different potion games. I'm like, is this one I played before? Is it Potionomics? Doesn't look like Potionomics. Then I just see Ursula on screen. I'm like, what? But it looks very interesting. Witchbrook once again, not farming sim, life sim. Very hyped for that one. The Eternal Life of Goldman. It's that one that has like hand-drawn platformer Metroidvania-looking things. It's the old man where you like change the cane.
Yeah.
That looks like a really cool mechanic to me, and its hand-drawn nature reminds me of Forgotten Anne, another platformer game. It's not made by the same person. I looked that up too, but it's a beautiful art style. Star Overdrive. It was just in the sizzle reel. They do the skateboarding. I just want to say I've had my eyes on it. It looks really fun. Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. It's a sequel to a game that I'm playing and enjoy. I just have no idea why it's called Fantasy Life I. I don't know where the I came from. I think that's really weird. And then apparently there's going to be a time travel mechanic. I just hope that it's not like Ys 8 where people don't acknowledge, like you go back to the past to change something and then you come back to the present and the thing you change is suddenly there. It didn't like change with the times. It's like people are like, this place just appeared, and that's not how time works. All right, and that's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your contributions, Paige. Now, we have been Nets for a while, guys. Are there any final thoughts that you wish to give? You all have given me plenty today, and I appreciate your time coming out here, but is there anything else that you would like to share with the group with respect to anything that we've discussed?
Good luck to Editor Griffin, but actually staying within topic. No, yeah, I mean, this was all enlightening. I mean, opening our horizons. I mean, not just, for discussing our own opinions, but also hearing what everyone else had to say, like, one in the opinional sense, but also in, like, the factual sense. like made you think about stuff that you probably wouldn't have thought of before otherwise.
Good. I'm glad it kind of opened some doors for you. I definitely came into this with a like much more foul mood, just kind of considering and like thinking about it more. I was like yes, our situation's very, very bad. I'm not pretending it's not, but it's not irredeemably bad. If we put our heads together, we can.
In our wallets.
I mean, hence the saying goes that
if we
work better
put
as
our
a
heads together
individual.
and work out a
Be
plan,
Wait for a sale.
we can get through this. Anything else?
It's like maybe we should start buying our Switches like from other countries and not inside the US. Lols.
That would.
God, I hope they don't
doesn't solve
region
the
lock
issue.
the Switch 2. I hope they don't region lock the Switch 2.
I'm pretty sure it is explicitly not.
Oh, that's perfect. I love that. I don't want region locked games. Those suck.
It shouldn't be. All right. Well, if there are no further final words, that is going to be it. Thank you all.
Oh, look at where he killed that.
Yeah, I know. That mother hecker. It's the whole conversation.
Knee heel. Traitor.
Nah, it's all good. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming out. Very much appreciate it. Thanks to Luke, especially for suggesting that we do this. He was the one that initially proposed this idea,
Nice.
and then I just
That's cool.
rolled with it. So thanks to Luke for suggesting this, and I hope to see you all tomorrow when we actually have proper game night.
I have to wake up at 5:20 a.m. tomorrow.
God
Damn.
bless you. Go to sleep. After we leave the call, go to sleep.
Don't be gaming
I'm not.
unless you're gaming in your dreams.
Yeah, game in your dreams.
I wish that's what I dreamt about.
I only dream of getting games in bulk. I actually don't play the games.
Hey, that's just my life.
I
That's not the
know.
wall breaker.
I know, Paige, and I love you for it. All right. Well, good night, everyone, and take care.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Good night.